Yeah, mic check 1 2. How's it sounding right now?
What it is. You sound lovely right now. You sound so lovely. Happy New Year, everybody. I want
Happy.
to hear you on some Instant Brotherhood. That's what I want to hear.
I like that. Is that how we're gonna jump off this holiday
I think we're setting off
New
the new
Year?
year right, man, with music. The same way we always get down, man. We're gonna start it with some music. Y'all good?
Let's go.
All right, I'm ready for you. Instant Brotherhood.
It's too hot. It's too hot. Yo, what's up?
What it is.
Instant Brotherhood.
You already know.
People stop believing in that kind of thing, though. You know what I mean?
True indeed.
You create your own fate, see. Remind myself I'm only good as what my tapes be.
Yeah.
Been rhyming over rhythms for a while, it's one take beat. Dialing up the FaceTime, the purest MC. Riling over here, surviving presidency. Lifestyle changes off of things we can't see. You all covered up, I'm unclothed, all free. Now I want to come relieve my son's the energy.
Yeah.
Physical flaws testify the best breed. Intervals pause, time to keep it OG. My essence too deep, no sleep, too identical. Forgot unique, lost sight of the general.
Yeah.
You hear crews and go to church all week. Rain fire over each one of these beats, no cheat. Hip hop election here. Pro told me that my lyrics like the best of years. Say cheers.
Yeah, that's my brother though. True fam, same vibe, different mother though. Sick for years, no tears, never suffered though. Immunity, split from the herd, we them buffalo. Y'all haven't heard, take the word, but discover though. Once Doctor and a beast come together, Mark Ruffalo. The upper glow, out the east, blow the cover though. And nine superstitious, but I'm bumping Stevie Wonder though. If we receive them keys like Khaled in the same keys of life, could we harmonize the ballads? Y'all know the skills from the superficial battling, but once we dig through the depths, it gets staggering. True swag is on the end, had to master it. The reciprocal superficials just masking it. See pro, then you see my glow. See crews, each other's, we them CEOs, my brother.
And that's that full clip.
Yeah, man. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year with that one right there, I'll tell you.
I was feeling that right there.
Hey, Christopher, what's up, brother? Or
What it
Christoph.
is.
I got
Yo, you know what?
we got everything up and I got to give the people the update. I didn't make time to get my computer up and running. It's been down for 2 months, which was good. I'm unplugging from the system, still writing and working, but I put the recording down for a little bit, and then today I went hammer on it and started banging out these tracks.
That's how what you did. I see that lovely red microphone you got going there.
This is the baby.
Is that a official sponsor, or is that an unofficial sponsor, or is that neither? Is that yet to be determined?
That is yet to be determined. We will be talking about it though. But today, I would say that the most unofficial sponsorship, especially because of who we have sitting in the green room.
Yes, I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, so we'll talk about the person first, and then we'll introduce the sponsorship. But this person is the biggest mentor in my life. And the reason being is because he's my pops.
What?
AKA Pops Talk. So I got my father, Mr. Personal Development, goal setting we're going to talk about, and personal development, of course. But the plug is going to be the healthy lifestyle. Health. Without health, you are nothing, right?
That is true.
That product, man, that's the good stuff. And this right here, Best Defense, is another Herbalife product. And it's you got a cold or something, it's amazing. You drop it in some hot water, drink it back, tastes great, feel good, the energy's amazing.
Okay.
I might be a little biased just because when you see my dad, by the way, the question that everybody's gonna say is,
I know you're gonna hear.
Right?
What are they gonna say?
Thought that was your brother.
That's right.
I done heard that so many times. I said, Dad, I want to see wisdom today, so don't dye your beard, because if he dyes his beard, now it's over. You know, they're like, you're not his father.
Yeah, for real. I said the same thing. You know, I was like, yo, Jay, your younger brother? Or it's
Seriously.
like for real, you have to squint. You know what I mean? I mean, like, whoa. And even if the fact if he's even your older brother, it's like no chance he's your dad, man. That's crazy. I mean, maybe your beard is aging you a couple of years too, as well. Because I remember you without all that. You know what I'm saying?
I had the chin strap and all that.
Yeah. So yo, mom, it's important, man. Healthy living is important, man. So I can't wait to hear about that. I can't wait to really get to meet your dad. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we've met, but very briefly. You know what I mean? And see what's behind the J. Crew story. Really let me understand and situate. And I know everybody's different, right? Like I'm really not too much like my dad in a lot of ways, and in some ways I am.
Me and my dad are damn near identical, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. So I see my dad, like I'll pass by the mirror, I'll be like, oh man, I look like my dad. But most people can only see my mom because the resemblance is so strong. I make the same faces and stuff. Especially, you know, like her side of the family, they have the same facial structure. And I definitely have that, you know, but I rebelled against it when I was little because I didn't want people telling me I looked like a woman. You know, I was like, I don't look like my mom, you know.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah, but I'm pretty much my mom. You know what I'm saying?
I got a good balance for sure. I lucked out with that, you know.
I got like the body of my dad and like the face of my mom, which is kind of but I'll see my cousin on my dad's side or something, and I'll see their picture and I'll be like, yo, okay, I see, you know, I see it really clearly because I'm so biased to the mom thing because I've been hearing it my whole life, but I see it, you know. But yeah, it's crazy, man. That whole lineage is crazy. I mean, I'm getting more into that too. We think about this at New Year's, people talking about what they're going to do, you know, how they're going to live life different. You start thinking, if you're a parent, you start thinking, you know, perhaps, you know, you're going to spend more time with your kids, or you're going to work on your business more to help your kids, whatever. Right. We were talking about it before. You just start talking about this whole lineage thing and talk about, you know, like my son, you know, I was saying before we started, he's real conscious of like, you know, what happens when we get older? Like, daddy, like, what's the oldest you can live to? You know, and I'm a little older than like your dad is compared to you. You know what I'm saying? So he's thinking about these things already. You know, my parents are young compared to me, you know, but what's funny is he sees my parents as older because they're grandparents. So he sees them as older, but then he does the math and he's like, that's not really that much older. You know what I mean? And he's like, are you going to look like that? And you're like, oh, you don't know, you know?
Questions arise. It's that age. He's a smart boy in general. I mean, you guys have done outstanding. And also, speaking of, big shout out to your wife, Nicole P. Jones, for the episode that she was on with Gabe the other night. I watched that. And, you know, I had to rewind a couple times to hear such a great story. And again, talking about goals and everything and achieving in life and the struggles and all that. So, you know, this is the year that we can really appreciate a new coming.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Sure, and, you know, I watch her do her thing and it's like, she's a natural, you know what I mean? She's just like a natural. She did pageants, you know, back in the day, and so she was always killing it on the personal interview part. She won a lot of pageants, and you know, the strength of being able to do an interview or whatever, all that training that you put into it, and that posture and poise, it never kind of left her, you know. And I think she didn't need that anyways. That's why they wanted her to go into it, because they were like, wow, she's gonna really do well on that whole poise thing, you know.
She's a natural for sure.
Yeah, you just see her and you just all the time, and she's personality. Like, I'm kind of, if I didn't have a microphone in front of me, I wouldn't be talking, you know, like most of the time. If I'm not in MC state or something, I'd rather be watching, you know, a documentary somewhere in a small movie theater or whatever, at a library, or, you know what I mean? I'm just that kind of, or working on music, you know, and this forces you to be front facing. And so my wife and I are totally opposite. Like, this is more in her lane, you know what I mean? Like, right. But I've learned through MCing and you know, and teaching and all that stuff that, you know, you got to come out of that shell. But me, I'm the back of the room at a party. I don't like crowds. I don't like big noises. You know what I mean? And
I'm the same. And that's why, you know, it's like the cave. I was dwelling in the cave, because reality is, my personality type is I enjoy being alone because I'm a thinker. So that alone time, you know, and you can abuse it, right?
You can, you can go off edge.
You start getting antisocial with people. You just don't, you know, and then you tend to not like people. So I'll tell you what, talking about 2021, what it did for me is it really cracked me up. There you go.
See, I'm trying to be social, man. I'm trying to wear the beads. I'm trying to, you know what I mean? I did it with my son last night.
I got the celebrate mug back out. Let's celebrate.
Yeah,
you know,
we definitely Like, I don't know. I get lost between that talk of people talking about, are you an extrovert or introvert or whatever? Professor Lyrical's an extrovert. You know what I mean? I'm not, you know what I'm saying? It's like the Bruce Banner kind of thing, you know, like it's, you know, I'm Clark Kent, you know, like, you
Yeah,
know,
right.
I'm switching metaphors. I know I'm jumping from DC to Marvel, but it's same with my hat. You know, by the way, I did that with socks today. I felt really bad. You know, I was like keeping it OG. I was like, yo, you can't have Marvel socks on and a DC hat. I was just, no one's going to know.
Oh, look at you. Going
But
Punky Brewster on him.
But the whole thing is like the whole thing with the whole extrovert introvert. I mean, some of that I'm like, is it even real, or is it like we have moods? Like I like thinking, I like getting things done. It isn't that I don't like people. It's that I don't like maybe because of how I grew up or whatever, you know, how you're conditioned. I get nervous when I'm in a big crowd of people. It's not that I don't like people. If I'm with like 4 people, I'm cool, you know?
Yeah, right.
But it's like when it starts to be like 20, I don't know if that's a survival instinct or I'm just like, yeah, I don't need a big giant crowd around me. So if I like being on a stage or teaching when they're over there and I'm over here, you know, or even if it's a circle, I'm cool with the circle thing, you know, of course in hip hop, we do it all the time, but it's like, you know, I still like knowing where people are, you know what I mean? And being in the middle, like a real tight pack thing at a show, that's when it's just chaos. I'm like, yo, let me go to the back where I know I can dip out.
You know, it's funny. I broke myself out of that by I'm naturally a calm person, so when I used to always think about that, how strong the mind can make things worse, right? Overthinking things is like, you know, it's like a dagger to the heart sometimes. So when I would get on stage, the first time I really got on stage, I got booed off, and that usually would break anybody, but it just made me say, you know what, next time I go on, I'm going to be super confident. I'm going to keep lax. My blood pressure is going to stay low. Wow. And being a human being, of course, as soon as you first get on there, you know, it ramps up, but then I immediately can decompress it all and I'm cool. You know,
where was your first show? What was the venue like? Real? Oh, okay.
Fitchburg. When I was 13 years old, man, I came up there. I forgot my verse. I started rapping Prodigy. Everybody knew the verse. And they were like, boo, right? But the judge was like, I sounded so good. He was like, no, we're going to keep him on. And I did my thing, and I was just like, hey.
It was a contest? It was a contest?
Nah, it was more just like freestyle night at the venue. They had like a bunch of.
I was at a couple, man. I was at a couple. Fitchburg State, probably around the time you were 13. When I was in college. It probably would have been it would have been probably around when you were 13, because I would have been around 21ish or so.
Oh yeah.
And 22, I don't even know, you know, and in college age, you know what I'm saying? And we were always up at Fitchburg and interviewing station. My man Joey B, who was in my original group, went to Fitchburg, and so we started doing the power source, WXPL. I remember the radio station, Peace to A Juice DJ out there, but they had the same things. There were club nights around. And they had like these talent.
I know that's how I knew you, man.
Yeah, man. I was definitely. All the time.
Yeah, that's how I caught wind.
And I had an attitude too. One of the nights I went up there and I said to my friend, this is in the height of when I was in that attitude. I was convinced I was the best rapper in the entire world. And it was like the way that I thought about MCs, where they were so beneath me. Like I really thought that, and I was awful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but it's just the people in my immediate circle, I was a better writer than that, right? Awful. But I wasn't a good rapper. I was just a better writer at the time, you know, because I'd sit in my room being the little, you know, like we just talked about, being, you know, just sort of the room hermit. I just sit there until I got it perfect. You know, it wasn't because I was, and this is the thing people mistake all the time. We talk about this all the time. It'd be great to talk to your dad about this too. Like the hard work and the work ethic thing I've always had. You know, I lifted granite from granite quarries when I was like 13, working illegally for the dude down the street. You know, he like did all these odd jobs and stuff, and he'd be building a wall and he'd be like, hey, you want to make some extra money? Come work for me. You know, this place. Right. I ended up mowing his lawn, moving rocks, shoveling, you know, crushed stone from the time I was a kid. And I stayed doing that all through college. Like I was moving big granite slabs, you know, just the dude would do psychology on me to get me to do Herculean kind of things, right? But I never had a problem with it. Like I liked sweating. I liked working hard, you know. I liked putting in the grind, and I liked knowing that anything was achievable if I just kept at it. And it was the same for MCing. So I knew that I wasn't actually the best rapper. In my head, I was like, I'm so much better than this person, even though the person was probably 10 times better than me. But I was like, yo, this person's been rhyming for like 8 years and they're really not that good. And I'm like, I would project myself. You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
I'd be like, I project myself in like 2 years where I'm like, man, this
that's a long-term goal that you just, really. And it's the same for me. I said I have my goals in my music saying I'm going to be better than this person at this age. And I'm, in my head, like, because I'm going to work at it. And that's what creates greatness,
But I hampered myself though. The problem I do believe I think you're right. Like it does create, like that's that drive, right? It's that drive to be better and want to excel. But my attitude was so off. I remember thinking like, how could I actually, looking back, I'm so embarrassed that I was actually like that. I remember saying to my crew, it was like, yo, these people are all trash. And looking back, they were probably all better than me. You know what I'm saying? But like that, and we see that so often. We see MCs, we see all these talent shows and things where people, and this is what I really want to talk to your dad about too, is like the difference of when people, you tell everybody to follow their dreams, follow their passions, right? But it's like, are some people ready to follow their dreams and follow their passions, right? Like at what, like, is that for everybody? Like, should everybody just go on a wing and a prayer, or is it certain people, or how do you find them, and what do you do when you have someone who doesn't have the skills yet? Coach, and I deal with that a lot in a classroom. It might be a little different in a classroom than like for careers and stuff, but it's like, if you're not nice with your math yet, there's still a lot of time, you can get better at it, whatever, but you start to see the work habits and the ethics and you're like, I don't know, you're trying to be an engineer, you know what I mean? And they're like telling you they want to be an engineer, but they failed the basic math test in college. And it's like, okay, you can do it if you have a ridiculous work ethic, but just know you have all these hurdles now in your way because you got so many other classes you got to jump through. And it's like, is that really the best thing for you right now? Maybe you do that when you get your master's or something, or you know what I mean? But I don't know about right now. Take the path of least resistance. I don't know, so it'll be cool to.
Well, I say, to transition into this, it's about making a great life and doing your best. But with the flip side of that, there's death. So I do want to give a special moment of silence to one of the greatest. MF Doom passed away yesterday.
Absolutely.
And what a day for a legend to be taken from us, the
Absolutely.
day right before the new year. It's incredible.
Dude was 49. Yeah. And there's a lot of craziness around. I mean, I don't know how much you've read about it or whatever, but I was, my man who hit me with it, I was like, what? And I started looking into it. We always do, right? You start trying to see if it's true or whatever, because these days you got to double check everything, right?
Right.
Yeah, and I'm like, I gotta say, like, I wasn't the person checking for MF Doom's new releases like that, but I definitely respect the skills. You know what I mean? Definitely avant-garde kind of artist, with all the skills, been doing it for years. And it's like, I totally respect the game, right? And hearing about the death, I was like, okay, his wife was saying he died on October 31st. And I was like, he died on October 30th, or was that a mistake? And she meant December 31st. I was like, I haven't followed it closely enough. But I was like, I know he wears a mask, obviously. Maybe they just wanted to say he died in October. I don't know. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I'm like, is that just something they were putting out there? Maybe that he wanted to say. And it's just like, I don't know. I don't know the full story, but maybe some of our listeners can let us know the chime in. Cause I mean, dude's got massive fans, you know what I mean? So dudes, people that are real MF Doom fans that are bigger fans than even I am, they know every release and be like, yeah, he didn't drop an album recently, but he's done this, and this. And I'll check for his videos. But just like,
and shout out to Joe, Happy New Year. And RIP MF Doom. Shout out to Jeffrey Ross, Happy New Year. And let's talk about goals, man. Let's get Pops in here again. Legendary person in his own right, superhero to me. He wears the cape all the time, and
I'm excited for this, man.
Let's do the knock.
Wait. Before we knock, we got build him right. Now you see that little ticker going on the bottom of the screen, right? You see that
let my brother build him up.
Yeah, man. So special guest Jack Silva from www.smoothietext.com. Now I want to hear about that. I want to know what the deal is. But what I know is he's your pops, and to me, that's crazy, man. That's crazy getting to meet your pops.
Get prepared, people.
Yeah, man.
My father.
Perfect New Year's person to have on. I'm excited, man. So let's knock one more time. See if he can enter in. See, we don't have our knock.
We're gonna throw him with the knock, the celebrate knock.
Let me get the sound effect. See that? I tapped the mic.
I sounded like a bird when I did it. That was great.
There he is.
Oh, the legend. Welcome to the ProQuo show, Pops.
Welcome. Oh, do we have him on mute?
Oh, yeah, he's on mute.
He's not on mute anymore.
Sorry, Dad.
I'm good now. You can hear me?
We can. Yes,
That's
sir.
Jay's only chance in his life he can shut his pops up. He's like, let me hit it. No one gets to shut their pops up, man. They can never do that.
You guys are good for my ego. We have to do this again.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a new year, and I'm excited because my son was talking to me about this, Pro, how you guys are doing this podcast. And he said, Dad, let's talk. I'd like to have you as my guest on the podcast January 1st to talk about, New Year's resolutions, goals, and plans, and to make 2021 a better year than 2020. And I said, hey, no problem. I'd love to do that. So I appreciate you guys having me.
It's a blessing.
I feel like I'm probably, I know Jay's excited, but I'm probably even more excited because this to me is like, I get to sit back and kind of be like, this is
how long you been asking?
Yeah, man. I know we've been talking about having you up like almost since day one.
Day one, right?
Yeah. I've got some dad stories from you. I've heard some of his stories. I've heard some of the,
there's some wild stories. I hope he kept it clean.
he tried. Well, let me. Can I ask a question first, Jay? If that's all right.
Of course you can, man.
All right. So I got to ask you this. So I've seen some of the pictures of the early days you, okay? And I know you kind of covered up and all that kind of stuff. You're looking real official. You were a jack dude, man. I don't mean jack pun intended. I mean, well, I do. I mean, pun intended. Jack was jacked, and Jack probably still is jacked. But I'm just saying, what's going on there? Our people don't necessarily know. I'm sure you maybe would tell it because it looks like this must have been a massive piece of your life. But were you a bodybuilder?
I have a few pitches, and I entered a contest because a friend said, dude, you look so good, you should try this. And I did, but it wasn't my gig to stand on stage, in my underpants and pose. So I really wasn't a bodybuilder. I was just kind of pushed on stage to do it. And because I was always in good shape, but I enjoyed it. It was a good experience.
You look like a bodybuilder, man. I saw them pictures, man. It was like, you don't just do that with a little bit of lighting, man. So
if it wasn't for Dad being a bodybuilder, I would have been way out of line. But it was like, you better stay straight and narrow, boy.
You were just kind of out of line, right? You were just, yeah.
No, I mean, I tested the water, but yeah.
So, I guess the best place for me to start, and I've got a few questions you guys, Jared, you got a few questions that you wanted me to cover. Yeah. And, I can do it my way, or you guys can break it up however you want. So whatever you want me to do, it's all good.
All right. Well, first of all, Dad just gave away the AKA. He didn't call you Jay. He called you Jared. So now I'm going to call you Jared all the time.
Yeah,
I know his name is Jared.
No, but that's the God given. And it's funny because my father was very adamant about, hey, that's your name. Look, I named you Jared. You're Jared.
I won't make that mistake again, Quo. Okay.
No, hey.
Look at that.
It's actually Jay. I go by Quo's fine.
It's all good.
It doesn't matter.
Well, Jay, it's all good.
But yeah, Jared is the God given.
It is the God given,
AKA Jay Cruz.
But I didn't mean to jump on in there.
And they already know the story about Cruz. The reason why it's Jay Cruz is because his middle name is Cruz. His father's middle name was Cruz. His father's middle name. So it's like that long term, goal set up long term. It's all short and long term.
I got you.
So yeah, Dad, take it away.
So
tell us about goals.
Just to kind of get started off in a direction. My background's very limited. I went to Beverly High School. I wasn't a good student. I really struggled in academics. I got my self-esteem from sports, and so that's why I went to school, to play sports, see my girlfriend, and socialize with my friends. And I'm not proud of the fact that my grades were horrible, but just didn't motivate me. I loved track and field was my thing, and football, and that was just my whole life. And so I started exercising at a young age because of sports. And then all my buddies went off to school. I thought, what the heck am I going to do? So I ended up getting married and having a couple of kids, not quite in that order, but it was like in that order. And it was the scariest thing that ever happened to me was having kids at a young age right out of high school. I was scared shitless about the future. I was really, I didn't know how I was going to pull this off. It was the hardest thing I ever had to deal with at the time. And it turned out to be a blessing that was probably the most important thing that happened to me in my life. When I got out of school, I didn't have a job. Now I've got a girl. I got a kid coming. I need a job. I didn't know what to do. I didn't like to work. I hated thinking I had to go to work every day, punch a clock, deal with a boss. And, I just wanted freedom in my life. That was like my whole thing in life growing up. I just wanted to have freedom. I thought, if I could have anything in life, it's not so much money, but it's freedom. And even still today, freedom is what motivates me, not so much money. But I had to get a job. Didn't know what else to do. I was forced to get a job. And so I was pushed into the car business. I grew up around cars. My dad was a developer. He was a car designer, and it just seemed like a good place for me to be. And I went to work selling Cadillacs at Chris Cadillac in Lynn, Massachusetts. It's no longer there, but it was a great place. And I was like 20 years old and, first job selling Cadillacs. And everyone else was like 40 years old and older. And they taught me how to dress. I had to wear a suit. I had to wear a tie. I had to wear shoes. I had to polish my shoes.
Right.
And so, they taught me how to dress, and I had to go to work every day. I had to be there at 9:00. I had to work till 9:00 at night. It was long 12-hour days. But one of the benefits, they gave me a car, and I didn't have a car. So that was one of the big motivating factors of me going into the car business. And it was my dad's advice that I should go into the car business. And I enjoyed it. I really did. I worked long hours. I had a lot of good friends there. I watched how they acted because I wasn't good around people. I really struggled with, especially older people. I was young, and because I was young, I thought that was, that was a problem. I'm the young guy. They're not going to listen to me. Who's going to listen to a young kid? And everyone else was much older, and people would come in, and I'd get all nervous and stuff. But I just observed how these other, I call them professionals, because the people I worked with, you think a car salesman, you think, oh, car salesman. But these guys that I worked with were real professionals. They were like there for, some of them they were there for 10, 15, 20 years at this dealership. And I just watched everything they did. I watched how they talked to people. I watched how they greeted people. And I just kind of role modeled. I mirror imaged everything they did. And that's kind of how I learned how to deal with people. Even though I was very shy, I didn't know, how to talk about money, and I didn't have the confidence when it came to negotiating. But I started to get comfortable with people. And that was the biggest thing I got from working in the car business, was just getting comfortable talking to people, because I wasn't comfortable. In school, I was nervous. I was the shy kid in school. Like especially if it was like a pretty girl talking to me, I'd be looking down at my sneakers. You know what I mean? I couldn't look at her in the eyes. I'd get all nervous and stuff.
We've all been there.
But when I went to work here, they taught me how to have some self-confidence, and they taught me how to deal with people, which was the biggest thing I learned. And after about 4 years of working 12 hours a day, I did not like the car business. I dreaded going in every day. The hours were terrible. I didn't see my wife. I didn't see my kids. And when I did, we were always arguing because we had money problems, and you'd save a little bit of money. The wash machine would break down. All that money's gone. Now you're another 2 weeks behind on rent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I ended up going through a separation, then a divorce, separated at 25 years old. And so I was super depressed. I was going to work every day. I hated my job, and the future just really did not look good. And then I found an opportunity because a friend thought about sharing an opportunity with me. And I thank God for that call every day. And he told me about a company that was a health company into nutritional products. And that got my attention because I was always into nutrition and stuff.
Okay.
I was taking vitamins like before people were taking vitamins. I think I was the only kid in high school taking vitamins. Right. I swear to God. And people would be like, Jack, what are you taking? And I'd have all my vitamins and stuff. And and in the day, there wasn't even like GNCs. There was nothing. I had to go to this little store in Salem, Massachusetts. It was like 300 square feet. And there was a little old lady in there. She was like 90 years old, man. And she looked it, right? And she was like 4'11", weighed like 80 pounds. And I'd go in there and she'd have all these, nutritional products in there. And I was just always looking for the edge to help me with sports. So being an athlete, I was into vitamins early. And so when my buddy said vitamins and nutrition, it got my interest. But he wanted me to join the company and be a distributor. And that wasn't at the time, even though I didn't like going to work, I couldn't see myself leaving the car business. I had a car. If I left, they'd take away my car. Yeah. But I
was
said,
in that
to my
same
buddy,
world.
I said, let me try some of this stuff. And so I just started taking the products he sent me, and like everything that's good, you know, you feel the difference. If it's good, it's good. And I enjoyed it. It was something that was an easy catch for me. And before you knew it, I was talking about it because I was taking, and I had customers, and I'm telling you this story for a reason, because not because of the vitamins, or not because of an opportunity or a business. It was because I found an opportunity, and it had people in this opportunity that changed my life. And I met these 3 wise men that changed my life. And they taught me things that I didn't understand. Even when I was in the car business, I didn't understand these things. And because I got involved in this company, because I met these people and these 3 wise men, they taught me things that completely revolutionized my life. I met them at 25 years old. And at 31 years old, I became financially independent. I'm 58 years old now. And reality is, since I've been 30 years old, 31 years old, I haven't had to work for money because of what I've learned. And I tell people I'm living off interest. And it's because of what I've learned. And I'd like to share this with you guys and all the people listening, because it's 2021. Everybody wants to do better. Everyone wants to have a happier, healthier life. Everybody wants to make more money. Everybody wants to feel better about the future. Everybody is into like wanting things, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, goals. People want a new car. People want an apartment. People want whatever they want. So everyone's looking and hoping 2021 will be a better year. So there's a lot to my story, but I needed you to know that it wasn't so much the fact that I love nutritional products and I've been hooked on nutritional products my whole life. That wasn't really the reason for my success, even though the products are great. The reason for my success, and the reason I've had such an incredible life, is because of what I've learned. And I want to share these things with you, and it's going to help. I hope it's going to help you as much as it helped me. See, we all think we need to go find a better job to make more money. We all think if
I'm
we
getting
get
the pen,
that,
by the way. I'm getting the pen.
What's that?
I'm getting the pen out just because I heard this. I heard there's some things coming, so these sound good.
Those notes.
And what I'm going to share with you is it's just going to. I hope it just totally is a paradigm shift in the way you think about goals for 2021. And whether that be your financial goals, your fitness goals, you know, your personal goals, your family goals, whatever it is, what I'm going to share with you is going to help big time to make 2021 really a great year for you. And it starts off by understanding it isn't the things that you're after that's going to make you happy. In other words, when I started in my business, you know, I just wanted freedom. Of course, I wanted more money, but I wanted freedom. And money never really motivated me. What motivated me was getting to a position in life where I could have the freedom that I want. And the happiness comes from freedom. If you think about it, happiness comes from freedom. And it doesn't come from a new car. It doesn't come from a new home. Yeah, it does for a little while, but after a while, that stuff wears off. It's the freedom that you have in your life that really trumps everything. And so to get the freedom, to get the things, whether it's a new car, whether it's a new home, or whether it's a raise at, you know, in your job, you want to move up the scale and you want to get promoted. Its capacity comes before promotion. Capacity comes before growth. So you don't have to work on your job so much. You don't have to work on your goals and plans so much. You don't have to like write things down that you're going to do in 2021. You don't have to say, okay, this is the year I'm going to get fit. And you know, say, I'm going to really do it this time. This is the year I'm going to make it happen. The problem with that is we're focusing on the wrong thing, and we have to focus on our capacity. We have to grow our capacity. And so the big question is, how do you grow your capacity? How do you become more so you can have more? And God knows what you want, so you don't have to write it down on paper. You don't have to put down a list of things you want in 2021. You'll get those things by by attracting those things because you become more. You get more capacity. So let me go through these 8 points with you, and then you guys can, because this is recorded, you can always go back and re-listen to it again.
Right.
But there's 8 mental bridges that you have to cross every day of your life to get what you want and keep what you want for life. And these 8 bridges have to be crossed daily. And it's a mental thing. It's a way of thinking. So to increase your capacity, you have to change the way you think about things. And I'm going to name out these 8 things that are most important to increase your capacity. And once you do this and you practice this every day, you'll change. You'll become a different person, a better version of yourself. And the number one thing we have to all let go of, if we want 2021 to be a great year, number one, we have to let go of fear. There has to be zero fear. When you get up in the morning, a lot of people get up in the morning, they're scared to face the day. A lot of people are just so afraid of things. They're afraid to make decisions because they don't want to make a wrong decision. They're afraid to make mistakes. They don't realize it's the mistakes that move you in the direction of your happiness. So we have to all let go of fear in 2021, and that's a big one. And I'd have to say the biggest reason why most people live a miserable life is because they're controlled by fear. That could be stage fright. That could be dealing with people. That could be maybe you have a problem with money and you fear if you make a lot of money, whatever that is, there's some fear that's in you that you have to let go of, whatever that fear is. Maybe you don't think you're good enough. You don't think you're smart enough. You don't think you're pretty enough. You don't think whatever you think that's a fear. That's the biggest number one reason why you're struggling with your goals and plans in life. It's the reason why you're struggling with your health. It's the reason why you're struggling with your finances. It's the reason why you're struggling in relationships. It's the reason why you're struggling with your own thinking is because of fear. So number one, every morning when you get up, in your mind, you need to see yourself every day. You need to see yourself crossing this bridge of fear. Now, if you don't have fear, at 25 years old, I had fear, but I got over that one quick. I had the courage to get over it quick. I would do things even though I was scared, and that's called courage. So I really never had a problem with fear. I would purposely put myself in positions where I was facing fear just to develop the strength to not fear. I would purposely do that all the time. And so we have to let go of fear, number one. Number two is once you cross over this mental bridge in your mind, you have to cross this bridge. And it's also, this is the best time to do this is at night laying in bed. You say, okay, rather than counting sheep or having sheep jump over the moon or cows jump over the moon, you picture yourself crossing this bridge. Number one, let go of fear. And if you didn't cross that bridge today, if something feared you, that maybe it was a bill collector that called you, or maybe it's money you owe. And because of that, you're afraid because you're behind on that bill and it's messing you up. See? So if you have that fear at the end of the day, when you're laying in bed, if you say, no, I didn't cross that bridge because I had fear today and that bothered me and it affected me, you're the only one that can identify that. But we're talking about increasing your capacity to make this year your greatest year ever. And you have to let go of fear. But once you cross over that bridge, you're now at bridge number two. And bridge number two this is a big one. And this is a problem a lot of people have, is you have to have a plan for the day. In other words, what is your plan? Your daily plan. Everyone has a plan, but some people's plans are very limited. They only do like one or two things every day, or there's other people that try to do everything in one day. What I was taught is this. There's only a handful of things you need to do every day to have the most incredible life. There's only a handful of things that you need to do every week, every month, that'll make 80% of the difference in how well you do. So it's only a handful of things. So your plan if you look at your hand, when I look at my hand, I see my plan. I've been looking at my hand every day now for all my life. But now when I look at my hand for the last 30 years, I see my fingers, but I see my thumb as number one, my personal development life, my spiritual life. So every day I have to take the time and I have to sit down and I have to take in some good stuff for the soul. I have to feed the soul, whether that be personal development, whether that be spiritual development, whatever that is. It could be meditation. I don't know, but something, because this is a tough world. This is a very tough thing called life. And we have to have something stronger than us that we can lean on, where we get our strength from. Because if we don't have that, we're going to lean on other people, and that's not going to give us capacity. That's going to make us weak. We want to be able to stand on our own 2 feet. Now, for me, it's the Lord. I love Bible doctrine. It's the most important thing in my life. It's been that way for 30 years. But for others, and I love personal development tapes. I love Jim Rohn. He's a great personal philosopher, passed away. He's my personal counselor for 13 years. He's a great, you could go to YouTube. There's so much great stuff on YouTube. Every day, start your day with at least 20 minutes of personal development. Every day, every day. So when I look at my thumb, that's my spiritual life. When I look at my index finger, that's my family life. And it wasn't always like that. My family life at one point wasn't even on one hand. It was on the second hand. And so I didn't have balance. But my family life is right there, meaning my wife first, my kids, my immediate family, right? Got to spend time with the wife every day. Got to spend time, whatever that is, whether that's going to the gym with her or just sitting and having a cup of tea with her, spending time. That's a priority over other things. So you have to have your family life has to be in there, whether that be, it doesn't have to be this way. I'm just telling you my priorities. And this is all about our priorities. And sometimes we need to change our priorities. And if we don't change our priorities, we're going to have the same year in 2021 as we did in 2020. And this, once you cross that bridge, though, and you have a plan. So for me, it's my spiritual life, it's my family life, it's my fitness life. Fitness includes nutrition and exercise. That's part of my life. It's been a part of my life. That's an easy one because that's been a part of my life my whole life. The next thing is my business life. That's my ring finger. That's number 4. That used to be number 1. That used to be before my spiritual life. That used to be before my family life. And that's when things were really messed up. Yeah, I was growing my business, but like my wife was mad at me. It's like I was always working. You know what I mean? And I was missing the gym, and I wasn't feeling good about that, right. You know? And when I went to bed at night, I wasn't feeling good about it because my wife was mad. I didn't go to the gym today, you know, so I didn't have that balance. So every day, my fitness life, my business life is right after. My business life is number 4. And then my social life is my pinky finger. That's the pinky finger. It's a little finger because I have a lot of friends, but I don't have much time for a social life. So your plan has to be balanced. And all I'm saying is it's just a handful of things you need to do every day. So here's how you figure out what is that handful of things that you need to do every day, every day, every day, all the time, every day for the rest of your life, every day. Right? Not until at a certain point, then you change. No, every day. So what are the 5 most important things you know? If you do these things every day, but you're not doing them, but you know if you do them, you're going to feel better about your life. You're going to feel better about your day. You're going to feel better about who you are. You're going to feel better because you know if you do these things, that's going to get better, 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 and that's going to get better. What are they? And you write them down, and that's your plan. Your plan isn't just to be, you know, the number 1 guy in the hip hop. Your plan isn't just to be the best at what you do. We all know people that just had a plan to be the best at what they did. And then when they got there, they got the money and they blew their brains out because they didn't have happiness. They thought when they got there, they would have everything and they missed the whole boat. Yes, you know, success is important, but let me tell you what's more important. Happiness and freedom over success.
Absolutely.
Happiness over everything. And you're only happy when you're doing these. So what's in your hand? If you don't like the way your life is going, change your hand. Focus on your priorities. And don't try to do 10 things. Remember, it's just a handful of things that make 80% of the difference. And let me tell you, that's going to be the biggest challenge that you face every single day, because you're going to want to add more to it. You're going to want to do more things. No. Go back to the basics, the handful of things. So the plan, bridge number 2. So once you let go of fear, now you got to cross bridge number 2, and that's your plan. So when you're laying in bed at night, you say, okay, did I cross that bridge, bridge number 2? Did I complete everything in my hand? Did I complete my plan today? And if you did, great. Then you're bridge number 3. Bridge number 3 is teachability. Teachability is...
There we go.
Teachability is huge. You were talking about it. Teachability is huge. If you're not teachable, you're arrogant. If you're not teachable, you're stubborn. If you're not teachable, you won't grow. You got to be teachable and stay teachable in the beginning, in the middle, and in the end. I'm more teachable today at 58 years old than I have ever been in my entire life.
Right.
Ever. So I won't go along details into teachability, because I could go quite a while with all this stuff.
But that's essentially what I was saying earlier. You got to be humble enough to understand that you don't know everything, and you need to be able to listen to someone who might be better at you than what you are trying to get better at.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And we're always working on it. And there's always someone doing better than us, and there's always someone doing worse, but you got to be teachable. And then teachability is this. If you haven't let go of fear, you're not teachable. If you don't have a plan and you're not working that plan, you're not teachable. You see? So when you cross bridge number 3, that's huge. And that gets you to bridge number 4. And at bridge number 4, this is when things start to happen in your life. This is when things start to change in your life. And what's changing is you as an individual. It's called momentum. Momentum is, it's like this. It's being consistent at being consistent. That's momentum. Staying consistent, not 3 days on, 4 days off, not 2 days on, 5 days off, not 4 days on, 3 days off. Every day you're on, you're consistent, and you're getting momentum in your life. And through consistency, let's put it this way. Motivation is momentum. Momentum is motivation. So if you can't stay consistent with things, you'll never be motivated. And you can't be consistent if you have no motivation. So motivation and momentum is like a coin. And on one side of the coin is motivation, and on the other side of the coin is momentum. And what makes up that coin, the ingredients that make up that coin, is hope and success. You see? So you have to stay consistent. And here's the problem with momentum. Most people can't stay consistent. It's like going to the gym or doing anything, because in the first few months of anything like going to the gym, it's a New Year's resolution, like having patience and not, flying off the handle and stuff like that. We have to have patience. But the thing is this, if you don't have the discipline to go to the gym every day, then you're never going to get momentum. So the first 60 days or so is painful because it's discipline.
Right.
Maybe you need to bite your tongue. Maybe you say things and you got to stop talking so much and listen more and give, and have better relation. You know what you do when you get someone, let's say with your wife, when you say things and it pisses her off, don't say that anymore. Don't tick her off. You know how to do it. So you got to
that wall.
You got to have the discipline. And it takes about 60 days for that discipline, that pain of this new, because you're trying to change, for it to become a habit. And then after about another 60 days, that habit becomes a lifestyle. And so momentum is a very important one. And most people can't cross the momentum bridge because they can't stay consistent. And so these bridges are what increases our capacity. Once we cross the bridge, the momentum bridge, we stay consistent. Then we get bridge number 5. And this is a big one. You have to have You have to love people with your whole heart. In other words, you have to have an impersonal love for all people. Because if you're going to be successful, you have to deal with people. And people are the key to everything. And for growth, for happiness, you take away all the people, there is no growth, there is no happiness. So you have to have an impersonal love for all people. What does that mean? That means when you're dealing with people, and if you're dealing with people, sometimes you run into jerks. Hey, let the jerk be a jerk. Don't hold grudges. Jerks are supposed to be jerks, right? And so we can't let the people that bother us affect the way we feel about people. Because if you have a problem with people, it's going to mess you all up. And so you have to have this impersonal love with all people. And that's a difficult one because we're so judgmental. Listen, let people be who they want to be. If a person can make you angry or make you react, they control you. And when they control you, you're out of control of your life. Do you ever notice when you try to help someone else, it's much easier to try to help someone else than help yourself? Mm-hmm. That's why you get so many people out there trying to help others, because they can help others, but they can't help themselves, right? Mm-hmm. Sure. And so we need to really focus on the fact that we're all individuals and let people be who they are. And it's not important what they do. What's important is what you do and what you think. So that's an important one. Once you cross bridge number 5, this impersonal love for all people, then you have to, bridge number 5. I'm sorry, that was my fault. Bridge number 5 is you have to love your work. My fault. Bridge number 5 is you have to love your work.
So I'm typing wrong. I put love people with your whole heart, but I got
that's number 6. So I won't have to go into number 6. But bridge number 5 is love your work.
Gotcha.
And because you can't go to work. How many people go to work every day and they hate what they do? Can you imagine living your whole life like that? Mm-hmm. Listen, if you don't like your job, maybe you need to just get a new job or try to like it. But you can't go to work every day and not like what you do for work. And that's a big one. And a lot of people struggle with that. And so think about what you do for work. And if there's nothing you can do to like what you do for work, then I suggest you get a new job. So bridge number 5, you have to love what you do for work. If you're going to have capacity for success and happiness, you ain't going to get that going to work every day and dreading. Like when I was in the car business going there the last year, I hated going there every day. I mean, I hated it. Going there was like, I did not want to go. Yeah. And so number 5 is love your work. Number 6 is impersonal love. And number 7, bridge number 7, and this is the last bridge here really, is you're going to be tested. And you're going to be tested every day. And testing it's for our own growth. The test that I'm talking about, there's a few of them. It's your own self-thoughts. Our own thoughts are going to test you. In other words, what you think is going to test you. You're going to get thoughts that say, you're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're whatever that is, it's going to be these thoughts that are going to try to take you down. So we have to understand that we'll be tested. But if you love what you do for work and you have an impersonal love for all people, you'll be able to pass tests like with flying colors. Because what happens when you love what you do for work every day and you start this whole impersonal love for all people, people don't bother you anymore like they used to. Your character starts to change. You have now a relaxed mental attitude. You get what I call success self-esteem. And it happens at bridges 5 and 6. When you love what you do for work every day, you see, and then you have an impersonal love for all people. They don't bother you. Now you start changing. You have a relaxed mental attitude and you're not frantic anymore. You have stability of thinking. In other words, you're making better decisions. You have composure. You now have confidence in what you're doing. That's huge. You have a feeling of personal control over your life, which you never had before because you had a problem with fear. You didn't have a plan. You weren't teachable. You couldn't stay consistent in anything. People bothered you. You hate your job. I mean, this is what most people deal with all the time. And so your character changes. And some of us, a lot of us need to change our character. You don't have to change your personality, but you might have to change your character. And you change your character by crossing these bridges every day. And when you go to bed at night and you're laying in bed and you say, in your head, you say, okay, I crossed bridge number 1. I had that problem and it scared me for a second, but I got over it and I got through it. And then you got to your plan and you say in your mind, did I cross that bridge? Yeah, I did this, I did that, I did this, and I did it. And you cross that bridge. And then bridge number 3, were you teachable? Well, if you're doing it, you're teachable. You cross that bridge. And in your mind, in bed, you're thinking, you actually see yourself crossing over. You say, well, I went to work. I'm going to work every day. I like what I do. I'm starting to feel better about. I may not love it, but I'm starting to really, it doesn't bother me anymore when I go to work. I'm feeling better about that. And this guy over here, this guy usually bothers me and he didn't bother me today. And so in your mind, you see yourself crossing these bridges, what I call 8 bridges to freedom. And so when you see you've crossed all 7 of those bridges, and in your mind, you see yourself, and you actually did that, you sleep like a baby. Bridge number 8 is the winner's bridge. You sleep because you won that day. You sleep better. Do you know the reason why most people on sleeping medications and antidepressants? Because subconsciously, all these things I just talked about, they're having a problem with. And in their mind, they can't figure out why they can't sleep. The reason why they can't sleep because they have fear. The reason why they can't sleep is because they don't have a plan. Yeah, they want to get in shape, but they're not going to the gym. Yeah, they want better relationships, but they're arguing with their husband. See? And so they can't sleep. And what happens when you cross these bridges every day, every night when you lay in bed and you cross those bridges, you sleep like a baby because you feel like a winner. You feel like you're changing. You actually can feel it. And when you sleep, you wake up in the morning and you're more excited about the day. You have more enthusiasm about the things you want in life. You actually feel like you're going in the right direction. And you have poise, the self-confidence. The Bible says he conquers who conquers himself. Well, let me tell you something. If you're going to conquer yourself, you have to cross these 8 bridges every day. And it doesn't matter who you are, where you are, what you do. Every human being has to cross these bridges daily. And if you're not crossing these bridges, there's a reason. Maybe you don't, you need some counseling, you need some help. Well, that's what this talk is about. It's a little bit of counseling, a little bit of help. And this is what I picked up from 3 wise men that changed my life in 1987. And for the last 30 plus years, I've been crossing these bridges. And I didn't realize it until years later. And I thought, you know what? I'm crossing these 8 bridges every day. And from that, everything changes. Your whole life changes. And it's easier to reach your goals, and it's easier to have better relationships, and just, your days go better, your weeks go smoother, and you just feel better about life.
Great. Look at that. Now you get a taste of what I got to grow up as a teen and get that information. And, this is, and it still excites me, to be able to hear this kind of thought. And, the biggest thing to me is understanding Jim Rohn. We'll go back to Jim, as my father said, that was one of his mentors as well, is the seasons of change, like the seasons, they change in life. And you've got your 4 seasons, and that's something that people, in addition to everything he's saying, the 5, all the whole package, right? We have the outside issues of the seasons, and guess what? You got to deal with the winter to get to the summer.
Yeah, you got to deal with the elements.
You have to. And those outside elements, they're not, the game of life is not that easy, right? It's out to get you. So people, if you really pay attention to what Pops, again, this is my dad down there, what he said, because it's definitely helped change my life for sure. And,
it's all capacity. Focus on your capacity. And it comes through, for me anyways, it came through imaging, the self-imaging of crossing these bridges daily. And we all have to do it. If you want to get fit, you better get to the gym every day, and no one's going to do it for you. If you want better relationships, you better have patience, and you better, you know what you got to do, and you better do it. Or things will be the same if you don't change.
That's right. Yo, big shout out to Angela, always with us. Preach.
Yes, she's right on there with the preach. I was feeling the same thing. She said, I was like, word. Yeah, exactly. I was feeling the preach. I was feeling
Bro,
it.
what you got to say, man? Pro got something to say. What's up?
Yeah, man. I mean, so much of that is similar to stuff that I started to figure out. You know, I think some of us come to some of that. You put it much more eloquently than a lot of us can to say to others. I mean, I get asked all the time, you know, stuff like, you know, especially when you speak into groups, right? They'll always ask you like, how do you get to, or how do you do X, Y, and Z? And it really does come down to some of those fundamentals, you know, like not trying to. I suffer from this too. I get excited by a new idea and I want to go jump on that, right? And you cut yourself so thin that it's like, are you really sticking to sort of a core of fundamentals, right? So it's easy to, especially when you have a lot of interest, to go get scattered. Now that might be the thing, though. This is the thing I would also add. That might be the thing that brings you happiness. Something that might bring you happiness is being interested in a lot of things, right? Finding new things, learning new things. But that comes into the flexibility. Have you arranged your life in a way that allows you to be flexible? And Jay and I speak on this all the time, and probably why he agrees because of your tutelage. I say all the time, I say one of the greatest rewards of teaching is the flexibility, right? Especially at the higher ed level, being able to just alter your day a little bit from the typical 9 to 5 gives you a mental freedom, even more than the physical freedom. When I was at Northeastern, I would occasionally just need a timeout, right? And I would literally go to the movies. In the middle of my workday, I would just be like, you know what? I'm going to the movies. And it's not like they didn't care because they weren't like, yo, where's Plord? Of course, I'd go at a time where I didn't have to teach or whatever. But if I was doing that every day, someone would be looking for me and they'd call me a slacker. But having the flexibility to have a job that allows me to clear my mind, right? And just go to the movies or like go take a 3-hour lunch one day or whatever. Or maybe go work on a song, whatever it is, it's going to de-stress you from the issues that life will invariably bring up is huge. And a lot of people don't have the benefit of that. It is hard to say to someone, hey, just go get a new job sometimes, right? Because there's a little bit of a process that goes in. And we're not always fortunate enough to have it right in front of us. But I agree with you fundamentally that if you're not sort of living your best life and this isn't for you, what's your plan to get out of it so that you can get to a place of freedom? Because I don't make millions, but I'll tell people, I'll be like, yo, picking up a few thousand extra to do a college show on top of a consistent job that pays you is a freedom that allows you the opportunity to do those things that you like to do. And having the flexibility of schedule to do it is massive. It's much better than I wrestle with it all the time. People will say to me, they'll say, yo, and I don't want to make this about me. We'll get into other people too, but I get this all the time. People say, yo, you got these degrees and you could be doing this with your math degree and blah, blah, blah. And they'll be like, why don't you go do this over here? Yeah, sometimes you think about it. You go, man, there's a job that's paying, man, I might be able to get 180 to go do that job, right? If I put myself in the running, but do I really want to make 180 grand a year? It's something that's going to require me to do 60 hours a week of something that I don't love. And I've been in that, maybe not for that much, but I've been in a position where making money, working for a job you don't like. And then at the end of the day, you get some of those material things you want. And then you're like, okay, I'm not happy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. So that's the catch-22 is we always think that it's the physical things that make us happy, and trust. Having that money will buy you some freedom. True. There's no doubt about it, you know, but do you need X amount or can you live with this amount and more freedom? And I'll advocate for more freedom to pursue those very things you like to do. So I'm kind of right there.
Yeah. Happiness over everything is really the key, and really understanding if you're going to get fit, whatever it's going to be, that change is going to be, there's going to be pain involved. And it's going to take time. And that time frame of pain, going from a discipline to a habit, most people can never get to the habit part because it takes 2 months, 3 months to get to that point. And a lot of people struggle with that 2 to 3 month period. And that's the whole problem. Their whole life, it was just a 2 or 3 month period of staying consistent at something.
Right.
And you would have crossed that bridge.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we all, and Jay's living your work. Cause I mean, he'll daily tell me, he's like, yo, it's about the consistency. It's about, it's about continuously going back to what it is that, is motivating you when you feel like you're on that path. Now I'd say this to you. I got an interesting question for you. So as somebody who's been rapping for a very long time, I can stand back and objectively say Jay is immense. He's an immensely talented MC. Now, I use him as an example because as somebody who's as talented as he is, he's also in a profession that has an incredibly low success rate in terms of people actualizing this financial success, right, from it, or even just to even get a little bit is difficult. The people that are grossly exaggerated in the media, in hip hop, that are like living that life, they're a very, very, very small percentage, as it is in most industries. But I think it's even more smoke and mirrors in the entertainment industry, right? Everybody's got to look rich and successful. There's a lot of posturing and posing. So what do you tell somebody who's like a Jay? And I know this is tricky because it's your son, but we can project this onto other people. What do you say to somebody whose passion is something that is so high risk? Because your number one was, abandoned, right? Like forget the fear kind of thing. Is there a rational fear? Is there what do you say to somebody who, I was talking about this at the beginning, what do you say to somebody who's maybe not as talented at that thing that they want to pursue as Jay might be? You know what I mean? And even for him, I mean, it's in a risky business. And I've always maintained some kind of financial stability. I've never, other than for a few years, I've never said, hey, I'm going to jump 100% into this music thing. I've always been like, let me jump in 60%. You know what I mean? Like, I really like having a roof over my head. You know what I'm saying? I love the freedom. I like doing my outlet. I like making side money doing it. And I like that the side money has sometimes gotten pretty significant, but I'm never like, I want to go on world tour. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like, let me quit everything and go. I mean, so what do you say to those people at that fork in the road kind of deal?
Well, it all goes back to these 8 bridges. Reality is, and there has to be some, monetary value in there, of course, as well. I mean, if you're doing something for a career, there's a reward. And so you have to get that reward, whatever that, is. It doesn't have to be a lot of money, but it has to be something. Mm-hmm. And so it's just adjusting the plan. So like when you have a plan, like my ring finger is my business. So I've got my personal development life. I've got my family life, my fitness life. And then once I'm finished after my exercise, I'm right in my office and I'm working. Mm-hmm. But when I go to work now, my work has all these subcategories. And so you may have to work on your business plan, and you have to have in that business plan, okay, where's the money coming in?
Right.
You know what I mean? Where do I
give you some of that freedom?
How do I fit that in? And where's that come in? And it's like you guys get paid for singing. Well, if you're not singing, you're not getting paid.
Yeah, you got to do the art.
Get out there and get singing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I wrote down on my New Year's goal list: throw hooks.
Yeah.
Throw hooks.
Mm-hmm. I remember Jared saying that he was all excited about rapping and stuff, and he's with a buddy and they're writing and they're getting their gig going on and stuff like that. And I says, listen, you guys got to get out there and get in front of a crowd. And they were like, how do we do that? And I says, let's go. I'll get you a show today.
So he wasn't joking.
We went out and hit the streets, and he didn't have a show that day, but 2 days later on a Saturday night, him and his buddy were playing to a pretty good crowd.
Yeah.
That's the part I'm talking about.
Yeah, and Jay speaks to that too. We talk about manifesting it. Like put that action plan in the air. You know what I mean? Like hear yourself say it, put it out there so other people. We have to overcome that all the time, no matter what our desire is, because it always sounds crazy in our own head. And you say it out there, and then you'll hear some people give you some feedback, and then they take it and they make that reality. Once you have to be willing to. I'll use the metaphor. You have to be willing to stand up on the table and rap in the cafeteria, kind of thing. You know what I mean? And let people know I'm here. You know what I mean? This is what I do. I take it seriously, and you can say whatever you want. There can be a bunch of rumors going around. Jay's a nice rapper, but when dude gets up on the table and raps and he's nice, now everyone's like, oh, okay. And then, if you're saying, I want to do X, Y, and Z, or I want to be an actor, or all these kind of high reward, high risk, low tangibility kind of things, at some point you have to put it in the air, and no one's going to be looking out for you too. It's just you against the world. At some point, someone has to be your ally to help manifest that plan, So
yeah, hey, shout out to Angela. Show me the money.
Show me the money. And we've all had parents and family like that. And you might have been that person, Jack, too, at some point, right? When you're younger days, you're always going to tell your family, you're going to hit them with the reality that every parent's going to do. I'm a parent. My son's 7, right? If he comes to me and says that he wants to be an actor, I'm going to support that. But of course, I'm going to be throwing in those little seeds like, okay, so what's your plan? You know what I'm saying? What's your plan when this isn't working overnight? And what's your plan to make the craft, become tangible? Because if there's no plan, there's no real finance that can come from to make the dream a reality, if you're out on your own. So it's tricky. We all We all have to wrestle with that, and it's tweaking the knobs, but that consistency part of your 7 steps there, that consistency part is huge. And we see so many people just fall off the wagon because it doesn't happen overnight, because we do a great job as MCs making you believe that all we got to do is wake up out of bed and write this 16. It just came to us in a vision, right? Yeah, I'll say to someone, Jay writes volumes of stuff. I do too. We write real quickly. But it's like of years and years and years of practicing that to get to the point where it sounds like you spent a month on it, right? Where you really spent 20 minutes. You know what I'm saying? And if you do spend a month on it, then it sounds like a symphony. And people will get it twisted and they'll say, oh, I all I got to do, this is so easy. All I got to do is just go right now. You're not seeing the behind the scenes. So I love that you're revealing the behind the scenes. Like you're working that plan, you're back in the office, you're back at the grind. Nothing, there's no millionaire stories, self-made millionaires, AKA Jack Silver's out there that aren't going to the grindstone. And if you were telling us otherwise, I'd say, you're misleading us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Consistency.
Yeah, I said, because with momentum, you could be consistently doing the wrong thing all the time. Right. And that's something you have to be aware of. You could be very consistent, but you're consistently doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, consistently screwing up.
So you have to analyze your plan. Remember, the plan is to be successful, of course, but sometimes I look at it this way: your money's just a measuring stick. So if you made $10 today, great. Now make $10 tomorrow, and so it's just a measuring stick. But you gotta have something to measure.
And you got to be okay in this world, in this entrepreneurial kind of world, that it can come in waves too. And and there's valleys and peaks, and the entertainment music is so valleys and peaks, and it's discouraged so many folks to get out of it. And, if you're fixated on the financial thing as the only measuring stick, you will see people will say, yo, how have you been doing this long or whatever? Well, you got to have measuring sticks that are, sometimes you got to have a record on the wall. Sometimes you got to have a picture on the wall to remind you of the successes that you've had and the things that you can manifest. I'll tell that to a lot of people too. I'll say sometimes it's not to brag and show off. It's to tell yourself that with time and effort, this is what you can produce. Because you're not always going to have, especially with music, it's hard to hold the music. It's like sometimes it's got to be, especially these days, there isn't a record or a CD. You're putting out MP3s, you're putting out, digital downloads or whatever. It's like, what do you got to show for it, right? Like, what have you done? And if you can tangibly, I would say, curate that and then re-show it to other people who've never experienced that, then they can manifest the next thing for you because they're interested in you as doing something new. And this is any line of business. Someone hears Jack Silver for the first time today. They're like, damn, I need to have Jack Silver on my show, or I need to have him come speak to some people. And that begets itself as well too. So there's a difference between propping up the, like a peacock and just kind of trying to be fluffy and showy when there's no content behind it. But when you have some demonstrated success, people generally can learn from that too. And I think for entrepreneurs, it's great to see other people get in front of a camera, speak, talk. I realize it's your son's show, but to get out there, and I'm sure you do this elsewhere, but to everybody for the new year, if you're about something, you got to put it in the air. You got to look people in the eyes and say, this is what I do. I'm this craftsman or this craftswoman. This is my craft. This is my trade. I'm serious about it, and be willing to ask for help too. Not to posture and pose like you got it all figured out. So many of us, we don't want to say, yo, do you have a show that I could do? Like, I'm down to do the show. I need X, Y, and Z. Most people don't want to come out like that because it's that position of weakness. And I've lived by that too. Like, I've never been one to be like, yo, can you just put me on? I'm not asking for favors. I'm saying, yo, if you're a person in a position that can put the next person on, and you need to have that relationship with that person and then be able to, when the time is right, be able to ask for what it is that you need. Put it out there, put it into the universe. This is what I'm about. And this is how we can help each other, and that's not charity. That's just smart business,
Professor. Being a tacticianer is the work. And that's where the discipline of that momentum comes in for you guys. I mean, for any artist, you could DM 100 other artists. You could, with social media, you could search out, the people that you're looking for, and you could send them, your music, and you could do that 50 times a day for the next 12 months. And something good's going to happen out of that.
Absolutely. Yep. Like I'll say the same thing. Like, if you're sitting around with downtime, like, are you sending your music out? Are you sending, and it's not just your music, like this is for musicians or whatever your craft is. Are you sending your bio out, your CV out, your resume out, even when you have a comfortable job, right? If it isn't the dream job, and even if it is, maybe you want more things on the side. Maybe there's other opportunities you want to explore. Have you put yourself in a position to make these things happen? Something I'll share for our New Year's crowd too is like, I say this, I am addicted to looking at job ads. Addicted to it. I've been looking at job ads since I got my job, before I had the job. I always like to know what the market's kind of dictating for, like, whether it's the music side of what I do or the education part. Like, I'm very in tune. Like, if someone says, yo, is there a position at your school? Nah, but there's one down the street at George Mason. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll be that person you can have. I want to know. I want to be aware, because like you said, you got 5 extra minutes, man. Why aren't you looking at the opportunities in your field or what you can be doing to promote yourself and advance yourself? And a lot of us, we just don't want to put ourselves out there. It's our 7-year-old self or 8-year-old self. We're afraid of being ridiculed that first time in school when kids start teasing you. You know what I mean? And we never let go of that. We're like, yeah, it can cripple people. And then they don't do their dream, and they don't pursue their passion, and they don't pursue the things that would give them purpose in life, and they're miserable because they're doing something that they, like you said, is not the job they want to be doing, and then they're stuck, and then they don't have that freedom, and then they let everyone else know through their social media posts or their interactions with humans of how misery loves that company, that you see people like that all the time. And it's just like, I want to help them. I want to be like, yo, like, what can we do to, make that person, realize that there's a fine line between what a lot of people will call success and failure, so right, Jay Cruz?
I love it, man. I'm getting educated by 2 mentors right now, because Pro, you my mentor, big brother. Like I said, I had to say,
you get the goat right here, man.
I send the promo, right, the promo. I get maybe the promo
rhymes with ProQuo.
It does. I show my father, and I'm like, hey, pops, look at this. And he's like, yeah, I saw that. I was like, is that you? It's talking about Pro.
I thought it was like his high school picture or something.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I know. I was like, you got to see him when he was at like 18, 19. It's like twins.
Most of it's just a lot of faces I'm making all the time. It's just
yeah, exactly. We had the same stone cold face.
My wife tells me all the time. She's like, see, your whole family be like that. Like, it's true. It depends where you're from and how you see people. I got half my family's never smiled for a picture in their life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like I've come into smiling after I met my wife. I got the Pro back in the day with my man Fee right there. This group was called Snap Crackle Pop. They were a live band behind us in the white shirts. We called them Mad Props. And it's like, the hair changes, but the general non-smile never does. That just happened to be.
That's a hip hop thing, man. Too.
Yeah,
it's
man.
Hip hop thing.
Yeah, man.
But I think reasons too, defining reasons. A lot of people lack reasons. They lack, the wisdom, motivation. Who's going to help me out? Who's going to turn me on? Look, don't expect anybody to turn you on, because you're probably going to stay turned off if you don't find reasons.
And by reasons, you mean like purpose?
Purpose, yeah.
Right.
What's gonna give you, because Pops is talking about motivation, right? To be consistent, and without consistency and the flip side of the coin, it's difficult if you have no reasons. You start finding reasons for things. Now that's going to motivate you to do better. And that's what's beautiful. It's a brand new year. We got a lot of days left to make that change. And I know today I was posing a question to Dad, but you know what? I don't even need to ask a question, because you did so well with those 8 steps. But gauges, he's taught me, teaching accountability for how do you hold yourself accountable for things, and gauging your day. Like today, I was great. I did personal development. I took better care of myself today, right?
I did like 8 tracks.
I did 8 tracks. I put work in. I socialized with the social media. I did a little bit of everything on my hand today to start the year. And I did my best. I did better today than yesterday. Just a little bit. But
that's the key too. Just to do a little bit better today than you did yesterday, and then tomorrow, just to do a little bit better tomorrow than you did today. And remember, happiness comes from that discipline, the momentum. Consistency brings happiness. If you can't be consistent, you're going to be miserable. And so you might as well deal with it and take the pain until it becomes a habit.
And it is painful, people.
Angela says, Pro, give Nicole my love. I shall.
Right.
The I'm always trying to figure out like who Nicole knows in her worlds and where we intersect. And I'm like, oh, I don't actually, but Nicole knows more people than I think I know. So it's but yeah, no, I know from back in the day. Shout out to Carly J. Shout out to Michael. Thanks for you guys' comments too. I mean, this is so great to start the New Year's off. It's so perfect to have you talking like this, especially so many of us. We use this fake milestone, right, of the first of the year as if it has like some special magical power. But since people believe it, it does, right? People believe that the first of the year is like, yo, that time. Really, it could be any day, right? Any day that you get your house in order could be the day that you really start applying steps like that. Doesn't need to be the first, but it certainly is the day that we sacrificially always seem to say, yo, today is the day, right? And it's like, I'll ask myself this too. Like I'll say, like with fitness, right? Like before COVID, I was arguably pretty much the best shape of my life, right? Now I'm awful, right? Like I use the excuse of not being able to go to the gym that's at the end of my street as like, I mentally did too, because I'm like, yo, I got a lot going on. I'll just kind of skate by with that. In the back of my head, I was like, this is great. This is almost like a break from like one with it. Like, oh, sorry. Like, oh, don't you love it when you get a perfect excuse that you can't do something, right? And it's like, but for me, I was in that mental state where I was loving going to the gym because the routine was down, the determination, the discipline, the focus. It was part of I always, I rationalize it how it intersects in my entertainment life, from education, family, all that stuff. And I have all these reasons why it's so wonderful. Want to show my son a good role model, right? Like all these kind of things. And boom, that happens. And now I'm like 20 pounds heavier. And I'm like, man, I gotta get back on the wagon. I gotta, do this. But we get in these zones where it's like, I can't imagine that there'd be a day where I don't do 50 sit-ups. Man, I ain't done 50 sit-ups in like 2 months. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, what is stopping me from doing 50 sit-ups? Like I told myself there's no rational way that I won't do 50 sit-ups. And when I was going to the gym, I was doing 50 sit-ups every day on top of playing basketball, I found the time in my flexible day, right? I moved. I happen to live near it. I find a location of the house that happens to be right next to the gym, which is part of why we're here. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm at a school that has a gym, right? In a flexible situation that I can use the gym. All these things are huge. And people think they're like funny, like, haha. No, in my last house too, I lived next to the gym that I went to. And that helped keep my fat butt not so fat, and which is important, but I like to eat. And it's like, I'll be like, I'm vegetarian, I'm pretty healthy, but at the same time, I can eat nachos and pizza, like in a snap. But like, how do we get off the wagon when we teach ourselves, starting January 1st, I'm doing them 50 sit-ups every day. And then what happens when there's 2 days in a row that you don't do it? All of a sudden it's like, yo, what happened? It's like, how do we get back on the wagon?
If for me too, understanding time is huge because all time wants to do is take, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to make time.
Yeah.
If you don't make time work for you, it's working against you.
Absolutely.
So time, it's like, look, you're at some point life is going to take us and we're gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what are you doing?
What are you going to do now?
Exactly.
With that blessed time.
Be present in that time. And what is the next thing? What are you doing on your plan? What's your deal? Make most of your time. Don't let time take you. You take time. You make it happen.
So we got any personal goals from y'all? Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to hear some I wanted to hear some New Year's thoughts. You guys have any personal ones for the year starting out? I've been asking people on the side here.
I got my Chantex.
Okay.
My Chantex is in the the pharmacy.
Yeah,
I'll do that tomorrow.
That's big.
Cigarettes gone. I actually wrote a couple down. Throw hooks. I said that, and keep my priorities straight.
Tell people what we mean by throw hooks, because they were gonna be thinking like, oh, you're gonna get rid of hooks.
So okay. So to define that. As an artist, my biggest struggle is what you were talking about, Pro, which was, putting yourself out there. Like, hey, I am the artist. I believe in myself. This is what I do. This is my craft first. I'm a postal worker second, right? That kind of philosophy. And treating my artistry as a business, because that's what it is. And the hook is to say, go buy the masterpiece on Bandcamp for $5. Right now, download the J. Cruz album that I put out in 2019 to get a piece of me.
Man,
that's the hook right there.
And look what I just dropped. I just typed before you typed that. I would have edited mine and turned it away. We're on the same wave. I was like, Pro dropping his new single, Homework.
That's right.
Typed. Yeah, all right, man.
That's
J. Cruz, man.
Yeah, and then keep priorities straight. That's it. That's still nothing major.
Okay.
Except my health. The most major thing
that's
is
huge,
smoking.
Smoking huge.
Health. Yeah.
As an MC too. I mean, the breath, the wind, the control. You know,
yeah.
I say in an old song, man. I mean this, right? I say in the song this old song I had on my album Infinity, where I talk about the process and I talk about you get in the game and you want to do everything the right way, right? But then after a while, my verses start changing, the hook starts changing, and in the song I'm a completely different person by then. The game has jaded me and changed me, and I'm in it for the money and everything, right? And I start out the verse and I go, and back in the day when Monica had an album, this was the name of her album. I go, I need a dip like Monica. After the storm, have a house full of kids and let them play on the lawn. But for now, I'm on tour and all I wants to perform. I want it plus I want it much more than before, basically is the line I'm trying to get to. I want it much more than before. And then I get into achieving my dream, lyrical, the beast in the scene, the only squad out the bean to put an eye in team. But I love Luda, but I gotta be clear, I don't eat chicken and I don't drink beer. Yeah, I don't smoke nothing, I don't toke nothing. Thanksgiving Day, you can find me eating rolls and stuffing. So rugged that I run through the snow to practice for shows, breath control, master my flow. So after you go home and you sleep in your bed, I'm working on a rhyme, I'll repeat in my head. I'll sleep in the tent or breathe through a straw to even the odds. It's lyrical, the reason y'all believe in the God. Come on, you know. And it's only a little bit of exaggeration, but I'm on the treadmill saying my rhymes, looking on my phone, right, while I'm trying to run and say my rhymes on the phone. You know what I mean? And it's like people will think that's funny, but I love that stuff because it'll get me into the motivation that I need. You know what I'm saying? To make sure, what am I doing at this moment? Like, I'm not just on the treadmill. I could be, working on my reps and working on my breath control and all that. That stuff's huge, man, for your psyche.
Talk about dropping gems. I mean, that's just that one gem on the treadmill, rapping your verse.
Yeah. And so on the treadmill, rapping my verse got me to the line like breath control, master my show. Like I'm out running through the snow. Yeah, Thanksgiving Day, I'm out on the treadmill. Thanksgiving Day, you can find me eating rolls and stuffing. Like I'm vegetarian, I'm not eating the turkey, and I'm so rugged that I'm out in the snow, practice for shows, breath control, master my flow. Yeah. But man, it's huge for an MC. It's huge.
Great.
But,
very good.
Yeah.
So, Dad, I want to again thank you so much for tuning in with us and sharing such
gems have been dropped. We usually go. We always say to ourselves, we don't really publicly say this.
I think we right on about.
Yeah, we always tell people, like we always tell ourselves, show's like from 9 to 10:30. But I don't think we've ever ended at 10:30. It's one of the things of what's lovely about being on Hip Hop Citizens is they've given us a little bit of carte blanche to kind of freak it how we do. The schedules used to be a little different here, so there's a little bit of time window where we can go a little longer than perhaps we otherwise would have when we first started. We were just doing it through my Zoom, and shout out to Hip Hop Citizens, and so they extended their platform to us. I was a guest on their show. Jay was watching that show as well, and he loved the name of Hip Hop Citizens. We talked about that last week, and we started talking to them more and more, and they were serious about us doing a show for them up here. But yeah, typically, I mean, we try to get done between 10:30 and 11, and that's about it. Yo, Jay,
homework
before you. Oh yeah, I'm gonna drop that. I got a new joint for real. If y'all haven't heard, it's coming out in January, but I'm gonna let y'all hear it tonight. It's called Homework, and yeah, it's a new joint. It's coming out, so I hope y'all like it and check it out. Let me know what you think. We'll rock with it. Let me see if I can find it here. Let's go into the files. Don't mind me. I'm just
doing your thing. Yeah. So it's gonna be a great day tomorrow at the post office. Another early day, and I think it'll be one of the last holiday issues I'm gonna have until February.
Oh, okay.
We got 2 days worth of mail coming in, but they deliver packages today, so that's going to be a huge win for the morning shift.
Man, people don't know the life that you got behind the scenes over there. What that grind is like. You were telling me about some of the. Would you have like 200 packages the other day? Something crazy like that.
250,
dude. I don't even understand.
250.
You're doing your homework, man. You're doing your homework.
Yeah.
All right, let me run this and
run it.
Let me know what y'all think.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can see it now. Lift off, yeah, we leaving now. Homework done paid off for me. I know they believe it now. So I can't see the ground underneath my feet. Some gon' love me, some gon' hate me, and it all makes sense to me. It all makes sense to
As a
me.
youngin' on my stomach on the floor when I look back. Little applaud, little more than a good laugh. A little boy was ignored, little pushback. Pro barely noticed on the low, some mistook that. Quiet confidence, my accomplices looked at. My accomplishments, my acknowledgement, hood rats. On the come up for a bag, wanted book bags. Could've had a jag, could've bragged on some cooked crack. Armed with hammers, now my plan had a hood pass. Not for the handles, dishing dimes with the look back. Wasn't able, but I could make that hook fat. Stood up on the tables in the calf, spit a good rap. 6'4", chisel jaw, plus I could scratch. Bought a couple tables, now my squad making good tracks. Making good cash, but unsure if it would last. And I rocked 100 colleges and still getting booked back.
Lift off, yeah, we leaving now. Homework done paid off for me. I know they believe it now. So I can't see the ground underneath my feet. Some gon' love me, some gon' hate me, and it all makes sense to me. Yeah. It all makes sense to me.
We was looked at, major labels rocking at the talent shows. Newer kids on the block with a battle flow. Will and Peter, Marcus and my brother Joe. Now my Wikipedia talks about my other role too. Born in Lowell, Massachusetts, got a on a code. It's always home. It don't matter if we on the road, on a roll. Putting homework, a late bloomer though. See me senior year, tripping in my suede Pumas. Though in the studio, the rumors was the calculus was crazy hard. Dad could have done it, but he punted for that Navy yard. Maybe just an MC out of place now. First generation, first degree, found my way now. Making the grade now, back for more. Teaching math in my city, summers rapping on tours. 3 degrees in my office, records, plaques, and awards. Plus a placket on my door that says Dr. Claude.
See now. Lift off, yeah, we leaving now. Homework done paid off for me. I know they believe it now. So I can't see the ground underneath my feet. Some gon' love me, some gon' hate me, and it all makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Sure do. It all makes sense.
Man.
Yes, sir.
ProQuo.
ProQuo. You're the ProQuo shout out.
Yeah.
Gotta have the ProQuo shout out.
Invasion. We always in here.
Yo, that's major, man.
You check out your body of work. It's all about that work you put in. And you know it all paid off for the right reasons.
Yeah, that's what we
It's almost like you wrote that, you know, knowing that Pops was coming on to talk what he talked about, do your homework. Yo, you said to stand it up on the cafeteria, spitting your rock. So real. Authenticity again, people.
Yeah, man, it does fit. Does fit.
Be real, be genuine. Speak your truths.
Very cool.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Just trying to be like Jay Cruz, man. Just trying to be like this, man. I hear his gems every day, pushing me to be great, man. Pushing me to be great. I gotta hang.
Same to you, brother. Same to you, man. Same to you, really.
Thanks, man.
Such a
Hey,
blessing.
appreciate you guys having me on. I just wanted to say thank you, and
Good
Jared,
night.
appreciate it. I
course.
enjoyed it. Make sure you get me a clip of this so that I can, if it's
Absolutely.
okay, you guys get me a clip of this. I can.
We're
use
gonna
it.
get you a clip of it, asking for a clip of it. So we're
Yeah,
we'll get you multiple
There you
clips.
go.
Multiple clips. Nah, very dope having you up here. We appreciate it. You guys are a talented family. I can see where the drive comes from. Makes a lot of sense. I see that Cruise Silver.
Answered a
drive.
lot of questions for you, I think, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It just puts it all in perspective. I see it.
Right.
I can see it now.
It's all clear.
Homework done's paid off for Jay. All right.
Oh, no, the whole work.
All right, guys, keep up the good work. We'll see you later.
Thanks so much.
Love you, Pop.
Take care.
Thanks again.
Yeah, man. That was so dope.
That was a great, that's the perfect record to play after all that, man.
Yeah, I was thinking, it's funny. We said we were going to play that track, and I was thinking about it when I was talking. I was like, you know what, this track is, but then again, half the tracks I make, they're all the same kind of concept. It's like put in that work, right? Put in that work and discipline. I mean, my single on my wall, the focus is back. The hook is the determination, the dedication, discipline. It's always the same stuff, man.
And that's the most important stuff, though.
Yeah, like I always see, we talk about this all the time. I always see myself more, as like not a motivational speaker, but because I feel sometimes that's cheesy, you know what I mean? But what I mean by it is, of course, like you're sharing your truth, right? Of how things, just like your dad was doing, you share the truth of how you've done what you've done. And I'm not like the biggest deal in the world, but to people that will, have me come and have me, that's what they want to hear. They always want to know, how do you balance? How do you juggle? And it's literally what your dad was saying. It's making the plan, sticking to it, not trying to, conquer the entire world, even though I do suffer from that. You know what I'm saying? Trying to jump on the next thing, but you try to learn, you try to better yourself so that you have options and freedom to change that plan as needed. That pivot right now in this world that we live in is super huge. Your plan might be fixed forever, or you might see an opportunity over here and you go, you know what? I can pivot to fit that into my plan. I got them 5 fingers. I got 5 more over here. You know what I mean? And I know your dad didn't have forever to talk about that, but I could see where he was going with that. He was talking about realigning his priorities, and we have to be flexible and nimble enough. If you miss the slate and you Fred Flintstone, even that grindstone every single day, sometimes we're not fortunate enough to be in a position where we can change the plan, but you got to be thinking about what the plan change will be when the opportunity comes so that you can leap and not be afraid. And I think the difference is some people will just leap out into the middle of the road with traffic. You know what I'm saying? That's the wrong time to leap. You know what I mean? Right. You don't be stupid, but you don't let fear stop you from doing the things you want to do. Or
people don't see fear either. It has to be pointed out a lot of times. Unless you're a savant.
Thanks, Carly J.
Oh yeah, Carly J. For
absolutely.
Real, though.
But I gotta get that one out there, man. It's supposed to be out. It's supposed to be out January 31st. So we'll see. My mom's birthday. Yeah.
Ooh, happy futuristic birthday, Mom.
Yeah. But I think these New Year shows are cool, but I see too often it becomes just sort of the trend thing, right? Like I've never been huge on, resolutions or whatever, because I try to I think you were speaking about the other day, try to think about what's things you're gonna focus on more, right? And that's cool. But I hate saying I'm going to do like the 50 sit-ups, because you set yourself up to fail, right? Because there's going to be a day where you put a magic number on it. Yeah, it's good to have achievable goals and say I'm going to increase my revenue by 10% or whatever. But you put these things on these unrealistic kind of things that you like. Yeah, I'm going to do 27 chin-ups by next week, and it's like, okay, dog. Like, was it a smart goal? You know what I mean? Was it realistic? Was it attainable? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So. That's and
that thing, you have. I know for me, I have a lot of room for improvement on my business inside when it comes to my music, and that's where I'm going to be focusing a lot of my attention. But what's beautiful is working with you, who's already have that formula. You've done the math, where. I'm gonna figure out what I figure out, but at the same time, I'll be like, bro, we got the project together. We're gonna be working on it together. Like, I'm gonna learn so much just working with you.
Word. So I got something for you. I got an unofficial sponsor, and I had to wait for your dad to leave. Now he's gonna want this clip, and this might enrage him. So I was looking through the house, and I was like, who's coming on tonight? I was like, who's the unofficial sponsor? Yeah. So my wife was down with that Shakeology movement, man. She was down with that Shakeology. You know what I'm saying? You can see the package is still on. We got Shakeology in this house. So I did want to talk to him a little bit about the Herbalife, but we let him escape without that. But
he'll be back. We'll get him again.
Yeah. So of course, the unofficial sponsor could be Herbalife, of course, as well. But shout out to
he told me like future is shakes, tablets, and bars, and that's reality.
Wait a minute. Run that back. Shakes.
Tablets and bars.
By tablets, you don't mean computer tablets. You mean take a tablet.
Physical swallowing a tablet. And the difference between a tablet and a pill is a tablet is food. A pill is doctor prescribed. So there's a difference. Yeah, there's a difference between a tablet that you take, a supplement.
Right. So a vitamin is a tablet?
Exactly. A vitamin would be a tablet, a supplement.
Tablet is food. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to and again, now you break it down scientifically, there's different like Shakeology,
Yeah.
the Herbalife, all these different products. Some of them may contain different stuff.
Yeah.
Like I know for a fact with the Herbalife stuff, it's all 100% food.
So that's kind of what they talk about here. So we got I'm reading the proprietary superfood blend of Shakeology. It says vegan protein blend, pea protein, oat protein, rice protein, chia seed, quinoa seed, flax seed, sacha inchi seed, cocoa powder.
All comes from the ground.
It's all real food. So they're big on that too. So
exactly. And then that's the future.
And these ain't cheap.
No, man. Hey, you know what though? You can't have a monopoly. You need to have companies that do it, and it's all good for the people, promoting health and wellness, and that's huge. And again, that's my deal. You know, I was so focused on creating content and using vices and crutches to help get me through the stress of it all that I completely neglect my health for like 2 years. And it's showing now. 37 years old. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, we got to wake up. Got my daughter too. You know, she's going to be 3 years old. I got to be long term with her. So I got to shape up. But I already know how to do it. So that's why I was like, I could just wait another 6-7 months.
Speaking of, man, I think next Friday, if we rocking the show on Friday, it's gonna be the 8th. Now I gotta say shout out to Nushin, Dr. Nush. I gotta send you an invite to be on the show because we talked before, right at the time of her birthday. And my birthday's 2 days later. I know my birthday's the 10th.
Sure.
I was just trying to think when the show was the 8th or 7th. Yeah. Doing the math there. So today is the 1st, right? We should know that. Today is the 1st, right?
Today is the 1st.
So it might be our birthday show. I'm not sure. We'll see if
I'm just putting virtual cake up here.
Well, I know I'll be here, but I'm putting Dr. Nush on the spot. I haven't even talked to her in like a week. So maybe she'll be another educator and does great things. She's out in from Mass, but she's out in California now doing her thing.
Pro, isn't there a mix that you have that some updated?
Are you trying to hear a mix? You tell me what you're trying to hear. I know where your mind's going. I know you're thinking one of these tracks. Let's see. I'll show you what we got here, and you tell me what you're thinking. So let me hit the homework. No, let me hit. I'll hit the homework. But
we'll pose it like this: we boys and girls, wait until you hear "He Prays," which you're not going to hear today because it's not. It's
right.
I want people to hear that perfect.
Yeah, I do have it there, but it's not ready for.
It's not ready. But
that's a little too. We like to do behind the scenes, but that's a little too behind the scenes right now.
All they're gonna get from it is we got Yahweh on that joint too.
Yeah, we got Yahweh on there. What are we trying to let him hear? Is there something on here we're trying to let him hear?
I'm trying to think. Was it Instant Brotherhood that I did that mix for, or was
that new BAP is tough too? That new BAP.
New BAP is. Have they heard that yet?
Let's hear a very. That. Hold on. Let me see if I even put the sound on for us here. Because I'm talking. Nah, I didn't. See that? I'm slacking at the wheel.
You're doing great today, man. You were doing good with them keeping up with pops, like putting the
trying
1, 2, 3.
Let's see if you let me know if you want to hear this.
Of course I do.
And that's when you want to hear. All right.
Let's play that for people. Yo, check it out. This is New BAP, produced by my man's. Actually, I believe this one is a double collaboration from the Netherlands with my production team, Larcy Vegas and Mitchell Drix. They created this one.
What up, Amsterdam? What up, Vegas? Damn. All right, here we go. New BAP. You got them around the world, man. All right, here we go.
It's New BAP. It's chapter 2. It's New BAP. Every line right into where I come from. New BAP. We collaborate across the nation. Wrote some lyrics, let them marinate. They say it's fornication. They heart defeats a lot that might just lead to domination. I left the greed by the parking lot. I'm on this train racing. Got some beasts that took me over. Now it's migration. The title's New BAP, cause the trap lanes all taken. I've been patient, got the features and I'm still chasing. Messing like mines, create a brotherhood. Now we all adjacent. The war paths in the past. Got my daughter in the bath. I work harder, nothing's trash. I want college as an option, that's math. All basics, don't wanna switch faces. It's 100, all me, never wanna trade places. If it's first or it's last, I'll always cuff these vibrations. Yeah. It's new back.
ProQuo, baby.
It's new back.
Whenever I throw down the pronoun, these days is pro now. My ascension from these lows well known. That's my hometown. Born as Peter Michael Floor before the teacher was more of a blue collar worker. For that paper boy, I'd sweep the floor. Was seeking more, started teaching on my first tour. Word to something different, somewhat shallow, but I low applaud. See what you're missing? Something different, them dancers' names. Shout out to Cheeky Tron and Shadow, that's my homie Dave. We played New England school, sure we had a single cool, but never knew what we really have is the air of the youth. Was wearing the truth on my sleeve like some fashion statement. My style was boom backpack, new jack, aspirations, motivational speaker. I'm thinking teacher now. Finished college, rocking Smith College. I'm with the teacher now. Let's take a rest, that blueprint for that boom bap. Now I'm that professor they call pro on that new bad.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am. What's your tiger? Tiger's beautiful. That was my son making a little. He came right up here and he was like, "Daddy, can you come look at my tiger now?" I was like, "Sure, look at your tiger." I wanted to get that in there because it's like this is where I record right here. You know what I'm saying?
Real deal.
Comes all up. He's like, "Daddy." He's like, "Are you doing that recording now? I want you to look at my tiger." And I'm like, "You're right. And you got to look at this tiger, man. You do."
It's beautiful. It came out beautiful.
Ooh, speaking
Yeah, man. Hey,
Ooh.
history. See, it's funny. You got to give, you dropped the history on that joint, and we need to know our history, right? To create something new so you don't repeat what's already been given. So we've got that new back, that new back. Nothing like this.
Yo, that story I was saying at the end there, man. I opened for KRS-One in the 90s at Smith College, and it was the first time where I started thinking about it was a big show for us, man. Miss Melody bought us chicken. At the time, I wasn't even vegetarian yet fully. I was still eating chicken and fish, and I stopped the red meat, and that was like, yo, Miss Melody just bought us chicken. She gave us Kentucky Fried. They had it was the first time I really saw what a full rider looks like, and their rider was crazy. KRS-One's rider was crazy, and just like trash barrels of like water, right? And just like water and lemonade and all this kind of stuff and iced tea or whatever. And our dressing room didn't look like that, right? And we came into their dressing room, and Miss Melody was like, KRS was sound check, and she's like, "Oh, y'all want some? Yo, we're gonna get you some chicken, right?" So she put in the order. She got us a whole nother order of KFC, right?
KFC.
Yo, and we did that show, and I was. I never didn't know what Smith College was at the time. Smith College is a very affluent woman-based primarily college. I think 100%, and I'm not sure if it's 100%, but it's time. Yeah. So we were out there, we did that show in the auditorium, and I didn't even know that then, but I never even heard of it, right? And it's this elite school, and it's funny because that's in the 90s, right? And I didn't even know what the school is. And I talk about this all the time. I didn't know what a master's degree was. Say I'm in college and I don't know what a master's degree is, right? And you've heard of it in passing, or you heard about a doctorate. To me, doctors were doctors. You know what I'm saying? They worked on bodies or whatever. So, anyways, doing that show, I came to understand the value of doing college shows. I was like, yo, how do they get this much money to pay them? And they were like, "Oh, this is nothing." I was like, "What do you mean this is nothing?" And you had to see it and be backstage and see all the food and see and then realize how much they were making, and it just started opening our eyes, and we were like, yo, we were doing that show for free. We did that show for free, and we were happy that we had a rider, that we had free food and dressing rooms, and that we were opening. We were just so happy to be opening and then we opened up again for KRS-One. We actually shot a video with him for a video that we did, and we lost the footage.
Oh, no.
We just never even put the song up.
We'll resurrect that at some point.
XCal One Style. I got it on cassette. I just got my cousin David out in California, sent it to me. I had it in my car. I got this little tape converter, so I could put it in digital. It's kind of cheesy, but I did it. So anyways, I'm listening to the song. This is just one style out of many. KRS says that. So we sampled that, did a little scratch thing. That was back in the day. But my whole point of all that stuff is in that song, you hear me say motivational speaker now. And we're just speaking of that, right? It's I don't mean the cheesy way, but I mean, it's I see myself more
indirectly. You're an indirect motivational speaker
Yeah,
because
because
it's not.
you try to not talk about, like, it's like kind of like your dad's doing. You just try to talk about healthy living choices. You know what I'm saying? You try to talk about, and I'm not the healthiest person in the world, but you try to make the right decisions and show other people what you did, show them the process instead of being like anybody who's like the process is a big secret and it's mystical and you can't figure it out, or it's special and you got to pay for it. I'm usually like, those are people to kind of avoid. People that'll give it to you, you know what I'm saying? Those people are usually worth their salt, you know, and it's like, I always want to
There's
be the
nothing
person.
complex about it. It's so basic and simple. It's we want to overlook things because we don't want to go through the pain of the process, and that's what
your dad shouted out the 80% number too, and I think that's cool because it's funny. I was thinking, you know, not that we've done, you know, valid studies to know that it's 80% or whatever, but you know, we throw that out all the time. 80% of the, but it's another 80% kind of little thing to throw out is like, this is true 80% of the time. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you did this the majority of the time, it's going, sure, there are people who will do the process and the process won't work, right? But it's because something is generally off, or because they didn't pivot at the right time, or they hit some dumb luck, right? The world is full of bad luck. And a lot of times we want to ascribe to it and just say, why me, Lord? Like, why didn't this happen? And it's like, you know, Ray Allen says it best. He'd say, God is not concerned with my jump shot. You know, they say, oh, it's a God-given talent. And Ray Allen said, nah, God don't give a time. You think God cares about my jump shot? You know, and it's big because a lot of times we throw it up to the heavens all the time. And I know your dad was speaking spiritually too, and I'm not disrespecting that. I'm saying it in a way to say, you can't just pray your way to success. You can't just work your way to success.
There's no such thing as getting successful on your knees with your hands pressed.
Absolutely, dog.
And there's no, if you're wishing, not happening.
Either.
You just wish. Action.
It all can work. You know what I'm saying? You gotta, like, whatever is the method for you. Your dad spoke to it kind of liberally. He was like, yeah, whatever it is that's gonna get you there, you know, whatever that thing is for you. For him, it's the spirituality, it's the Lord, it's whatever, but it isn't alone. That was 8 steps or 7 at least steps to get you to 8, right? It's like there's a lot to it, and staying consistent and staying the course. If you're fortunate enough to be able to stay the course, right? That's a big piece of it. You could die from COVID, as so many people have done. You can die crossing the street. You can have a heart attack. All this stuff is the process that will work for most people. It's not a panacea. It's not like the instant magic tip. You know what I mean? But it's like for most people, and for him, he's saying, this is what's worked for me, and I want to share that with you. You know what I'm saying? So that's dope, you know?
Yeah, man. And it's and also shout out to Gary, he was digging a joint, and also Carly J, again, thank you for tuning in with us and staying, you know, in the comment section. We appreciate that. Make sure you guys share it too, you know, share it to a group or
you gotta have love, Carly J. Definitely
get that you know, ProQuo show out there a little more. But yeah, man, this is it's gonna be an incredible year for us, hip hop citizens, everybody that's, you know, rocking with Pro and Quo. And we get a lot of amazing content coming, and we're definitely gonna be ending this year with some sponsors.
Hey man, because you know it's always about Cheez-It. It's always about Cheez-It.
Get your cheese.
Yo, it might be about the Celtics too, because I can't let you out of here without us talking a little bit of Celtics here. So I'm watching the Celtics the other day, and I was like feeling a little depressed. They were 1-2, you know, and I'm like, I know they got to work the kinks out. All of a sudden, bam, 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 right? A little dumb luck happens. They pick up on it. They're ready. They're prepared. Jaylen Brown goes off for 42, taking advantage of a couple ankle injuries on the opposing team there. Jay Morant out or whatever. But yo, and then another ankle injury in the same game. It was like, yo, it's crazy. But I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, yo, did we know Jaylen Brown had 42 in him right now? And I'm looking at Jace Tatum is like, yo, Jace Tatum got like 50 in him, guaranteed. Jaylen had 50 in him. He didn't play the fourth quarter. He had 42 points, though.
Oh, easily.
It's next level. So I'm hearing all this stuff, all this Steph Curry stuff and James Harden stuff. And I'm like, yo, I would take Steph Curry in a second, right? But I'm not giving up Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, right. There's not a trade-off if we're talking.
No, I'm not giving up Jaylen Brown, and I'm not giving up Tatum. They are untradeable.
Come on, man.
Unless it's like the Greek Freak, right?
They're the magic duo. Like I said, man, I don't know if it was you we was talking about it or it was my uncle or something, where I said, they're together, that Pippen Jordan type thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, one without the other may not work.
Right.
And it's a mental thing too. It's not just the physical basketball skill. It's the brotherhood.
And speaking of brotherhood, when we did our show back before we were rocking up here, we were talking about the rookies. And I gotta say, Quo, your man,
right, huh? I know.
your man, you were on that with that. You were on that. He is running some ball, man.
Yeah, he's got the opportunity, and that's the difference. That's what that other kid didn't have.
Pritchard, man. Pritchard looks like Pritchard's fun to watch.
Yeah.
He's dishing, he's scoring, he's clever, he's using his little size that he has to his advantage. It's like that
and
dude, man.
He can hit. That's the thing. It's like when you got that pressure situation. When I seen his college stuff, and I was like,
it's crazy.
Yeah, like you hitting these deep threes off of a crossover jump shot.
Yeah, man.
That's saying something.
And it's just like the question is, does that so often doesn't translate to the NBA, right? That undersized guy who's crafty and a lot of times it don't translate, but it's looking like it translates
for this guy. Yeah. Well, what's up? I wasn't paying attention though. What's up with with your guy?
He's not getting in the game, man. He's just I think that he's a little confused on the defenses. Like he's been picked. I mean, Pritchard, quite honestly, has been picked out of position quite a lot on D. He's having a tough time, but you can see he's going to work around that because he's not a slacker. But I think it's difficult because I think getting in the game when you're a 6'5" 3-point shooter, it's tricky because you got to take Jaylen Brown out of the game because Jaylen Brown is basically a 6'6" 3-point shooting, athletic wing, and Jason Tatum is like a 6'11" wing. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he's grown, by the way. If folks haven't caught that, dude grew like a couple inches. It's crazy, and his shoulders are like boom.
He's filling out, man. When he fills all the way out, he's a problem. He already is, but a bigger problem.
Yeah, when you grow 2 inches, man, as an adult. I mean, he's 22 and he grew,
and that could be why he's still
a little
because I mean that's I'm
seeing it. You've seen I mean the handle's still there and everything like that, but it's like you see he looks a little different. He's getting used to that body. You know what I'm saying?
That's a crazy growth spurt.
He looks like your dad next to you. You know what I'm saying? He's like, is that his big brother?
Hold on a minute.
They said that the other night. They're like, is that his big brother or is that him? As they said, you put the split screen. They were like Mike Gorman was talking. He's like, you put the split screen next to each other. You're like, is that his brother from last year or is that him?
Yeah,
it's crazy, man.
It is crazy, man.
Yeah, but anyways, man, they got bright future. I mean, they still got a trade exception they can play with, and they got some moves to still make. You know what I mean? That may happen this year. But the future looks bright. They're exciting to watch. One person like that Pritchard that you feel like you can root for, who's the underdog, on the team, is always great. And it was Jaylen Brown for a while. You're hoping, but he's there. He's established, right?
Oh, definitely.
And I'm still that way with Marcus Smart a little bit. I'm like, I kind of root for him because he's like that dirty dog. You know what I mean?
That's bad. He's just it's a spaz in a good way. I don't want to call him a spaz, but he's and not a maniac. But he's like he walks those lines of energy. He's so high energy, and you need that. That's the Rodman type character.
Did you see Williams grabbed 10 boards too? And it was like, you start to see Williams play like that, and you're like, okay, with this team, Williams, if he's picking up the defenses and he can get consistent minutes, man, he's a big impact too. And I think Thompson's looking good on this team.
Yeah, I was surprised actually with Thompson. I was really curious to say, he's a balanced player, which I guess is good.
Well, I mean, for a guy who can't shoot a jump shot, he's as balanced as you can get, exactly. But he is going to work and work and work. And so on this team, someone who's ready to get dirty, you need that. You need that person.
What happened with KG? He started hitting threes, right? I mean, when he went to Boston, his jump shot became a prominent figure of his
absolutely
play,
a top of the key kind of straight away.
Yeah, that's it. And I think that
McHale did the same thing as last year too.
McHale's shot, his percentage went way up, right?
Yep. Yeah, he started taking threes. It was like, whoa, who is this guy? You know what I mean?
So I think that the only issue is Thompson has been in the league a long time, and is more of a scrapper, board, throw the layup kind of guy. But with the right coaching staff, man, coaches make the game.
Yeah, man. Who wins the next championship in Boston, though? Who wins the next championship? I'm talking all the sports. Big four sports.
It ain't gonna be the Patriots.
I don't see Patriots winning unless they trade back Brady for his last. Brady's looking nice right now. Dog.
Yeah.
I've been watching all these games.
He's in the warm weather, and he's
I mean,
happy.
the last 3 games he's looked crazy. I mean, he had a tough game before that, but it was like even when he has bad games, there ain't nothing off the fastball. You know what I'm saying? There is nothing off the fastball. Finally,
his
people
mental
are
attitude is amazing.
Dog, it's like he throws a dart all the time. It's a dart. Every now and then he throw one over someone, but you're like, okay, the person wasn't where they needed to be most of the time, you know, or he's a little not comfortable or whatever. But it's like, yo, the dude had no preseason. And he's thrown for like the most touchdowns he's thrown for like in 6 years. You know what I mean? It's like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, dog. His numbers are off the chain. I mean, it's off the chain. You know, he had a pocket where he had some ugly games, but even his ugly games were mostly like freak interceptions or like a dumb play gone bad or whatever. It wasn't like Tom Brady couldn't throw the deep ball, you know, which was people were trying to make that the narrative for a while. Yeah, dude is chucking dude's throwing the bar farther than he ever has.
He's like that temperature gauge on the stove, right? He's one of them where, you know, you have those people that they on off switch. He just he goes to a boil and then he stays medium and the pot's always hot. You know what I mean?
Nice way to say it.
You get an interception, it turns down a little bit, but he goes right back to medium.
Yeah, in fact, since you didn't see it before we get out of here, I'll give you some Brady stats. Let me give you some Brady stats. Let's go.
While you're doing that, I'm gonna say, I mean, I haven't watched as much hockey as I would have liked to because I never was into it, but I started getting into it. I'm like, man, this is actually a great sport.
So I'm sorry.
How they doing? Do you know what's up with the NHL? You good with that?
Nah, not really.
I gotta start doing. I'll start talking on that. I'll watch that a little bit more.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I know they always contenders, and the Red Sox. I don't know, like, well, they were decent. I haven't watched them.
Let's keep it on this though for a sec. All right, so there's Brady stats, right? That 348. Now, granted, is against the Lions, right? I understand they had some injuries, right? That was the first half. He didn't play the second. He didn't play the fourth quarter. You know what I'm saying? Like he was like, yeah, I'm good. After the first half, they put in the second stringer. And that's what he had in the first half, right?
81.5, bro.
Yeah, dog. 348 yards, 4 touchdowns in the first half. One to Gronk was beautiful. It was just incredible. Anyways, look at the last game. 390, 2-0. Now, this 196 and 2-0 game was nice. What?
Yeah, 70%. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and half the time when they do drop it, they're dropping the ball. I mean, it's not like he's not
right.
You know, he's had some times where he hasn't put it in their hands and he's overthrown. Mostly the dude is like, what is he, 43, 4? He's overthrowing, you know? Anyways, I mean, we're just kind of gazing at those numbers, right? It's like, okay, yeah, he had a couple of interceptions. This game. Oh my gosh, the game against the Saints, that was just like, yo. And then after that, it was like, bing. It was
then you're saying, oh, well,
bing, 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 bing.
That was his adjustment period where he was like, all right, we got to turn the stove off. This will be the only time I do it ever on this team. And now it's staying. And look at that. Bing.
Yeah. And so when you accumulate that, you got 4,234 yards at a 65.9 clip, 36 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, right? So, and then you look at his career. Okay. So remember, that's this year. All right. Now let's go down. Look at the completions. All right. So he's higher. Okay. This year he was higher. Now look at his yards, and Brady still got a game to go. Right. So look, 32 touchdowns. Now he has 36. Where's the last time you see 36? Back in 2015. Let's look for another year. Way back here. So you're saying in 2011, he's basically in the same form that he was roughly in 2012, 2011.
It's incredible.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, look at the rating.
I think that's the thing too. You have, a quarterback
in a new team
that is like his position for when you think quarterback, like you have the Vic style. I mean, that's probably a bad example, but the running quarterback versus the passing quarterback. And it's so much better to have a passing quarterback because they can look at that, what you just showed, right? The long term that you can actually have a QB that's a passer versus that quarterback that is going to get injured, man. They ain't going to be able to stay with that in the league like that for that long because they're always running and getting hurt.
Yeah. So that slow person with no mobility is more safe.
Yeah, exactly.
And
he comes out looking like damn RoboCop with the the metal braces and stuff. Hey, it don't matter. He's look at the numbers.
Yo,
That's
Satchel
crazy.
Paige was mowing him down at 59, dog. You know what I mean? So it's like 59 years old. Satchel Paige was mowing him down. You know what I mean? But it's just crazy. You never know. You know, it's all relative. For some people are, you know, take it seriously. Some people will be like, I'm 37. I'm an old man. You know what I mean? 36, 37. Be like, that's old for a quarterback. And dude's like, nah, I'm gonna play for like 10 more years after
Well,
that.
it's like hip hop, right? I mean,
Hip hop, you ain't got to do anything. There's no excuse for you to not be in the 60s
you
and
know,
rocking,
I remember Mace was saying it. He's like, you know, it's a young man's sport, and I think at that time, with the content that was being released and all that, maybe that made sense. And I mean, we look at today's music with hip hop, and we see that it is a young man's sport still, but the OGs, man, never gonna go away until the grave takes them. You know?
Yo, did you hear about Fat Joe? Or Fat, you know, Fat Joe, like he really sweats LL, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you know he also sweats KRS-One, right?
I didn't know that.
Those are like his two idols, right? So, Fat Joe was talking to KRS-One about like who could serve him, and they were talking about versus battles, you know, and you could tell KRS-One wasn't like totally up on, you know, exactly like the way all these rules kind of work or whatever. So he's basically, KRS-One is like, yo, I'll serve anybody. He's like, yo, what about my other idol, LL, against you? And he's like, homie don't want it like that.
KRS said that?
Yeah, man. He was like,
Man.
straight up. He's like, yo, ain't nobody trying to see KRS-One. That he's like, that's just a lane you avoid. He's just like, you avoid that. You know, I was like, yo, dude is like really feeling himself on that. But it was almost like Fat Joe had to explain to him the rules of the verses, because KRS-One's like, yo, I got 26 albums. Yo, what's he gonna do? And he's like, okay, partner, you play like 20 joints. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, how do you pick? You know, he's like, well, you pick the joints you got to pick, you know.
I know, you know, it's because I mean, when you think about it too, how the success of LL as far as the entertainment business and radio success, it's go, and that's the GOAT, right? I mean, when you think about it, and then you got the teacher who's done so much for the people.
Yeah.
So much for the mind. I was waiting for him to start dropping a series on YouTube with just him educating. And like, I mean, I see clips and stuff, but to be at those events that he's done, which was great, that you know you got to plug into it, but to one of them teaching events, just to see him, you know, and hear him talk about what's going on in philosophy, being that philosopher, like, wow.
Check it out right here. Hold on. Let's give you this. Here it is.
The safest way to see a car up close.
So this isn't like yesterday or anything, but check it out.
Okay.
Today.
But it made me think of it from the KRS-One discussion. Hold on.
Man, ads upon ads.
Hey man, they're trying to be potential sponsors.
Yeah.
You can hear it good?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we're the first show playing somebody else's show, but
we do what we do.
Do a versus with LL Cool J? Of course, but I think the verses. Let me be clear with the verses. They just songs. They're not battles. They're not song for song. Song for song, celebration of rap. It ain't battle. I don't think LL would survive. Thorough, Joe. I ain't bragging. I'm not bragging. I'm not being arrogant. I don't think he would survive. I got 25 albums, G. I don't think he would survive.
Yo, that's how you gotta answer that. Listen.
James Star Smith, you heard it first here. This is a joke.
And you heard it second here. Hip Hop Citizen.
Big show. KRS-One in a beautiful celebration of life. Enjoy.
It gets better. Check it out.
He has called you out. LL Cool J is my idol.
YouTube, salute. KRS-One says LL Cool J wouldn't survive in a versus battle with him. All right, if you knew the
So this is a show showing a show of a show. This is the first, right?
That's awesome.
Quality programming here.
Yeah,
ProQuo show. This is what you get on bonus hours at 11.
Link is in the description and check out new interviews with Ilmac and Kim Bada. So KRS-One was on IG Live with Fat Joe yesterday. I guess Fat Joe has this IG
And by
Live
yesterday, we
where
mean
they
like 6 months ago.
artists once a week or something like that. And they were just talking about hip hop and yada yada yada. And then he was talking about, you know, who would he actually match up with if they did a versus battle. So they named LL Cool J came about, and I've been actually trying to see who would LL Cool J match up with myself. I've been thinking about that myself. So Karis One said LL Cool J wouldn't survive. He said, I got too many records, man. Like I got 25
We'll
rate
jump it
when
ahead.
it comes.
I didn't mean to pull this one up. I meant to pull the original.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, but anyways,
yeah, I think you know, if it came down to it and they went live, LL would.
yeah. I mean, LL is like LL's. Whew, you
He's
know
got
what I mean?
so many. His popularity when it comes to that is
Too many. I mean, but they get into it. They're like, he'd have to play. KRS goes, he'd have to play all the girl songs. Actually, Fat Joe says it. He goes, he'd have to play the girl songs. You know?
Well, I mean, he said it to
when
Canada,
it comes down to your hits.
It's like 99% of your fans wear high heels. He's like, that's 99% of the fans you ain't got. So
right,
that would be when it comes to that. Now, you know, music and hip hop, he's KRS-One is like kind of the father of, in my opinion, in my eyes, like the consistent, still relevant. Like
yeah, he'll kill the freestyle right now. I mean, I've never really heard LL freestyle in my life.
Yeah,
you know
when it comes to that whole the elements like of what hip hop culture is, KRS is if you go on the, like if there was a dictionary, his face would be like there, right?
I mean, LL's been stupid rich for stupid long time. And they even said it. Joe's like, yo, LL ain't coming. He talked about Joe had a birthday party back in like when Biggie was hot, and he was like, yo, LL came through and KRS came through, and this was the time where Craig Mack was big in the video. They're talking about when, you know, Flavor of My Ear was hot, and you know, LL rapped on that in the remix, right? And LL grabs the mic and he does his verse no one had heard, and he was like, kills it, you know, and KRS was like, yeah, I remember that was dope. But then they're like, you know, they get into it and they're like, KRS was kind of tooting his horn. He was like, have you heard KRS-One freestyle? He's like, have you ever seen LL Cool J come through the hood? Ever? Like never. That's never been done, you know? And they were like, so they were stunned that he came through. And I don't know. LL's to me is not the dude you necessarily want. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, in terms of pecking order, right? In terms of like world notoriety, it's like LL's here and KRS is here. But in terms of MCs, where most people rate MCs, most people do this.
Ball game, right?
You know what I mean? But I mean, to me, I've always had loyalty and respect to both of them. You know what I mean? Like
LL was my, you know, it's funny Joe says it, but reality is when I think about my idols, really.
Absolutely.
No question. Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? That whole joint. Like, you know, when I
went to Casey, who just passed away, rest in peace. I went to Casey Jones basketball camp when I was a young teenager. And, you know, it was like LL came out. You know what I'm saying? And LL's album Bad was out. And it was just like, it was like, I'm bad. I'm like, what? You know, walking with a Panther, all that stuff was just like, yo, like he was that dude. There was no second place. It was KRS-One, no questions. You know what I'm saying? Everyone wanted to be. I mean, LL.
It's kind of cool.
Everyone wanted to be LL.
As we're talking about this, and it's kind of unraveling, I say to myself that versus, like, when you're putting those two pictures up, I don't think I've ever seen that comparison or battle.
No. I actually think they're both like mistaken in terms of like. Well, Joe's not mistaken. I mean, but they were both kind of drinking the KRS Kool-Aid right there. But I'm like, when I really think of LL's early hits, you know, I know the KRS early hits, but a lot of KRS early hits are not hits. You know, they're underground hip hop hits. You know, LL's hits were underground at the time, but they became like immortal classic records. I mean, songs like Bad is like there's no song in the catalog KRS-One. I know people will say The Bridge Is Over and all that kind of stuff, and Criminal Minded or whatever, but it's on a different level with
when you know, LL came out, you know, with the hit, it was a smash, like break earth shattering. And you know, but what's cool about that whole thing, what I was saying is that it's a good actual comparison, because
I never thought of that one either.
When you think about hip hop culture and then entertainment, because the movie scene, when you know you take that out of the equation for LL, he's still major. he's
to me,
still,
when I say LL, I'd be like, who? There was always a little beef with Jay-Z, maybe LL and Jay-Z. You know what I'm saying? Like that's like monstrous, massively huge people who never fell off. For well, LL's now kind of not relevant as an MC, but it's like he's still relevant as a human. You know what I'm saying? So he's relevant. You know, he's bigger name than all those people off just his acting. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the dude is still, you know, like he's alive, and you're like, yo, this dude is a monster.
I still think they beat the Nas and the Jay-Z so much into hip hop that it's ingrained in me.
Right.
It's like Jay-Z, Nas, like, you know. But yeah, those are two people that should be in that top category. And
Jay-Z's hits are legitimate radio hits that were legitimate hip hop, you know, with the exception maybe the Annie song, whatever. It was, you know, like obviously commercial, whatever. And a lot of his songs were clubby, but they were clubby in an authentic way. It wasn't like it was going for airplay necessarily. It was like these songs are massive club hits that were bona fide, you know, gold, platinum, all the time kind of hits, you know, and they just didn't stop. Just bang, 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 bang for like a decade. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and LL was similar. You know?
Yeah, and I mean, reality is when it comes to comparisons, they are the two. Jay-Z and LL are the two.
Nas has
Busta could
none
even
of those
go
hits.
in there too.
Nas is strictly an underground MC. I mean, you ask the average person who Nas is that doesn't listen to hip hop, they have a vague passing idea. Wasn't he the dude married to Khalees?
I mean, Milkshake brings all the boys to the yard,
right?
But like the only song that's really
can your mom name two Nas songs? Of course not.
If I Ruled the World would be the only one they would get at with Lauryn Hill, and that's probably it. But to me, I'm thinking like they shoot major.
I know. I mean, just in terms of we know the weight of Nas.
And it's like the reality is like that wasn't on the radio, and it's kind of like to me at that time when I was hearing that music, it almost felt like it was.
Yeah.
Right. But
it kind of like that particular song, like you know, for the I Know I Am, that was a radio track.
Oh yeah, exactly right. I know I.
He didn't have many. I mean, Nas did not have many radio hits ever, but it was at a time, where you could listen to Hot 97. You know what I'm saying? And you could start to. Is it the tip of the iceberg of where you could start finding out what's going on in other markets without having to be there? You know what I mean?
Reality is, I guess you could put KRS and Nas in that.
Yeah, KRS and Nas make a lot of sense in a lot of ways, you know, because it's more that underground. Everyone who knows hip hop know that they're monsters. You know what I'm saying?
It's almost they're two different LL and KRS. The lanes are just it's another lane.
But like if the next generation, you know, goes back, their LL will probably be like Lil Wayne. You know what I'm saying? It'd be like all the people will be like, yo, Lil Wayne is like
even now the Baby and Lil Baby. You know,
absolutely, yeah. But you can see where those, you know, steps are happening, but it's like, you know, but who is that underground person that's in the cut kind of thing? Who's your KRS-One of now? You know what I mean?
J. Cole probably, right?
Yeah, J. Cole, absolutely.
J. Cole probably be the guy.
Yeah, and then there's your Drakes who sort of transform that, who come up through mixtapes, but ascend to that, you know, that LL Cool J kind of, you know.
I'll tell you what, Big Sean.
Yeah.
I listened. Shout out to Big Sean. I listened to it yesterday. I was like, well, we gotta take album of the year because I believe it got album of the year. And man, you need to listen to that album.
Yeah, I have not heard that.
Listening. Well, I would even didn't know that, but yeah, definitely listen to it. But people listening and watching this, peep that. That's a really it kind of I didn't listen to the whole 21. There's 21 tracks on it. I think I got to like 14. And from the beginning, he says this one line where he talks about Walt Disney and Frozen, but he's putting it in the sense like if you don't know the conspiracy theory of Walt Disney being like literally frozen. And he uses it in a punchline. Dude, he just did like you know, why not think of that one, right? Yeah. But he tells some real life story about
there are all kinds of true conspiracies about Walt Disney too, man. Like that dude was definitely he was taking money to actually promote propaganda of military and like having Donald Duck with the rifle and all that kind of stuff. He took money to actually promote military advertising. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a really just like the NFL does. The NFL actually takes. There were never flyovers in NFL games before all this, like the anthem playing at sports games. That's relatively new. You know, like that isn't always what happened. You know, and then flyovers. That's paid advertising by the U.S. military. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that stuff goes back into entertainment and sports, and those conspiracy theories are crazy. So someone like Big Sean actually pointing out the Walt Disney one, it's like I wonder. I'm like, how big of how big of a thinker is this dude? Was he like, is he aware of the real stuff? You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
it's crazy. He's
thought
a smart dude. There's no question about it.
He's definitely when you he blew me away for the first 10 minutes, and then it kind of leveled off a little bit, but the work he from what I'm getting, the beginning, the first 4 or 5 records are like, wow. He has one on there with Nipsey, that phenomenal record, phenomenal.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I seen the last thing from him I saw is the video with the young lady, is it what's her name? I always get her name wrong. She's like, I think she's maybe Asian. I always forget her name. Jane, I can't remember. But anyways, this video with her, she's like the girl in the room kind of thing. I think that's on that album, but I might be off.
Yeah, I don't know, but I literally didn't even hear. I mean, I heard the Wolves one that's on there, because that's on the radio now. But that definitely something to pay attention to.
Jenny Aiko. I almost said Jaina Shako. I was going Star Wars. Yeah, Janae Aiko. Is that how you say her name? Aiko.
Janae Aiko. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, that's the last track I've seen from him. That last video.
What's the title of it?
The track. Body. Let me look. Body language.
Yeah, I think I heard that.
Big Sean, Body Language, featuring Ty Dolla $ign. Yeah, and Jenny Aiko. Yeah, Janae. Is it Janae? I don't know. I know what she looks like. I know she is when I see her.
Definitely a salute to that album, because it definitely shows that there's lyricism in hip hop with like a trap style, and his beat selection was great. It was new age. It was,
and that's on Detroit too.
Yeah, Detroit.
Yeah,
he got Chappelle on there with a little skit. But great dude, great story. He has one record that tells a story about his health and stuff, and it was like personal. It was real cool hearing it,
He was coming to some event in Cambridge. I was at a shoe store or whatever, and I just happened to be at the shoe store, and it was in Harvard Square, and they were like, "Yo, Big Sean's coming by in 15 minutes." I was like, "That's cool. I gotta go home in 10 though, but I'll be out." I was like, "That's cool," you know what I mean? But I'm changing my day, and they were like, before I knew it, there were like 100 people outside the store. I was like, "Yo, it's crazy."
Crazy, right? Yeah,
get out of here. Big crowd. I gotta go.
It getting that accolade, right, is huge. So I was like, I'm going to pay attention for sure, because I like him, but my level of respect, it went up a lot.
That's dope. When we get him on the show, we'll run him this clip.
Hey, what's up? Exactly.
He telling him I left when he was coming.
Time.
He was running late though, so I was like, "Yeah, man." He was supposed to be here when, and they were like, "Yeah, like 20 minutes ago." But he's coming in 15. I was like, "Yo, I gotta go in 10 though." But you know what I'm saying? If you were walking in, I would have been like, "Yo, what's good?" You know. Yeah. But I saw his manager speak a couple times over Berkeley. They were talking about his grind, and it was ridiculous. Just listen to the stories.
You can hear, and he says it. He talks about it in his work, so it's official. But man, hey, I think for me, it's sign out time. We got a long day tomorrow, but we're gonna be back at it, and we're gonna talk. And my people, we'll see you next Friday, 9 p.m.
Next Friday, and you better be only tuning in to 10:30, because we're gonna be out 10:30. We're gonna be out 10:30, yo. It's overtime.
Hey,
overtime.
Put the OT in every day.
That's how the show started. Me and you catching up on what's going on for the week when we're not sending tracks back and forth.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So we're doing a catch up.
That's what it is. This is our personal time to have that brotherhood, to build.
Just let you cheer in.
Yeah, man.
Instant brotherhood. Instant brotherhood. You can get that instant brotherhood someday soon. We don't know when, but you can get it someday soon.
We're putting it together. There will. Look, I want to give. Actually, we're gonna keep
Spring
it.
2021. We got. I can't even say it yet. Spring 2021.
Special album, and it's gonna be my most incredible body of work until we create the next body of work, which will be more incredibler.
Be a better bodyer.
Better bodyer.
Yeah, man.
Hey, Pro. Happy New Year,
my brother.
Great show again tonight, my brother.
Yeah,
I'm
say
so
thanks
glad
to
we
Pops.
sounding so fresh and crisp now with the Goldilocks on there.
Yeah, man. I hear the difference.
Yeah,
if people got the headphones in, they're gonna hear the difference. Yo, and I didn't even do like you. I don't got the little guard thing. Well, I got this one on. So
yeah, I was like, because my P's aren't going directly into it, so this is a really good mic for that, where it captures your area. I don't need the pop filter right now.
Me either. I was gonna show y'all something too, but I won't. We'll save it for next time. All right.
Next time. Peace out, brother. We'll talk.
Peace out.
One.
2021.
I flash credentials for them sweet presidentials, cause my potential for Washington's monumental. The non-essential things in this life, blinging with ice. While married man is living trife without a ring for they wife. I'm sticking the mics.